What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7PB Chapter 156 The Power of the Quincy, Ryotsu reigns over the world. For subscription, ===. Advertisement. Ching Yu, wait a minute, finally. Pen still spoke very helplessly, looking at Ching Yu in front of him, and said indifferently. You just reported on Jinchuriki's condition. There's also the situation of Chunan's exam and Deidara. There's no explanation. Hearing this, Ching Yu raised her eyebrows suddenly and said with a smile. That kind of thing, I'll explain it in detail later. Now. Well, no time. The voice fell, and the two were startled again. No time to? Are you still busy? However, before they can think carefully. But seeing Ching Yu in front of him suddenly waved his hand and said casually. See you later, base. The moment the voice fell, he immediately turned into an afterimage and disappeared directly in place. In a blink of an eye, breath, it turned out to have appeared in the distance. This series of actions is as smooth as running clouds and flowing water. And after reading it, of course Pen and Konan were completely stunned. I'm so anxious. After a long time, Pain shook his head helplessly, looked at Konan, and said indifferently. Forget it, that's it. Now that the intelligence of Nine Tails Jinchuriki has been obtained, you can try to carry out the following first step plan. After waiting, Itachi and Kisame are back, so let's start. Talking, Pain also stood up and looked outside. It is good. Konan answered calmly, stood up as well, and came to Pain's side. But at this moment, Pain suddenly spoke. Speaking of which, Konan. About Ching Yu's sudden return this time, do you know why? The voice fell. Konan was taken aback for a moment. She suddenly remembered, as if she hadn't told him about it yet. Then, she raised her eyes slightly and said, before. When you asked me to question the three children, I got a pure white scroll from their hands. According to them, this scroll was given to them by Ching Yu to save their lives. No matter what the danger is, it can be completely eliminated. As soon as the voice fell, Pain naturally noticed something wrong, and frowned slightly. But Konan was still calm and said, then, like you, I doubt this scroll very much. That's why I chose that place. I want to open the scroll and try it out. Pain asked immediately. How is the result? Advertisement. Konan looked over and said indifferently. In the scroll, no ordinary spells or patterns can be seen, only the word D-strong is written. But, just a moment later, Ching Yu teleported directly to the scroll from the distant land of the earth. At this point, Pain's expression changed slightly. It's actually, time and space ninjutsu. This guy Ching Yu not only hides so many powerful attack escape techniques, it also hides space-time ninjutsu? This is outrageous. Read more at mtlarchive.com. And at this time, Ching Yu, who had left Pen and Konan, went straight back to his home. Of course he didn't know the conversation over there anymore, but he didn't have the mind to think about over there anymore. Because now, his purpose is only one, and that is to harvest rewards. Stepping into the room with a smile, Ching Yu called the system in his heart for the first moment. System, open the panel, ding. A crisp reminder sounded, and then, an aqua blue illusory interface instantly unfolded in front of his eyes. Long lost feelings flooded. Open black lens bracket. The king of the night system. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Host. Ching Yu. Close black lens bracket. Ryotsu. LV.6, medium. Zanpakutō. Shinsō, 100%. Open black lens bracket. Swordsmanship. Excellence. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. White hits. Excellence. Close black lens bracket. Shunpo. Ultimate. Keto. Extreme. Props. Deathlord outfit. Akatsuki. Veer. Rain Shinobi. Veer. Portable righteous corpse. Restorative medicine. Shock point. Black frame glasses. Spiritual scroll. Other skills. Shinigami's hollow power. LV.2. Normal fusion. Aronkar's steel skin. Black chamber. LV. Max. Ryotsu sensing. LV.6. Secret technique. 1000 anti-white snake. LV. Max. Otherworld summoning technique. Black rope scourge. Hades. LV.1. Otherworld summoning technique. Jillian Manos Grande X10. LV.1. Hairspray hand. LV. Max. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Mall level. LV.3. Close black lens bracket. Friendly reminder. The current main quest, participating in the big event, Konaha subversion plan, has been completed. Will you start receiving quest rewards? Close black lens bracket. Take over, of course. Ching Yu didn't hesitate at all, and answered with a smile. Although in recent years, his level in all aspects has been greatly improved, but the rewards for the main task are still exciting enough. And at the moment his response fell, the system's prompt tone immediately rang in my mind. Ding. Congratulations to host. The main mission has been reached. You have successfully participated in the big event, Konaha Subversion Project. 1/1. Reward. The fusion of the Quincy bloodline. LV.1. As soon as the prompt fell, Ching Yu's heart was shocked. Damn it. The Quincy abilities really come? However, before he could think carefully, the alert sounded again. Quincy infusion of blood. LV.1. Thoroughly control the power of Lingza. After holding it, The host will obtain a perfect and unrestricted lineage of all the Quincy, and, as you continue to exercise and upgrade your level, you can unlock more abilities. LV.1 Unlockable abilities: Flying Sickle Feet, LV. N. Sacred Arrows, LV. N. And Disguising Sky Puppets, LV. N. LV.2 Unlockable ability: Static Blood Equipment, LV. N. Dynamic Blood Equipment, LV. N. LV.3 Unlockable ability: Ending Eucharist, LV. N. LV. Max Unlockable ability: Holy Text, Random. Host can gain experience by constantly using the Quintessence ability in battle, thereby increasing the level. Advertisement. The series of tones fell. A lot of text instructions also appeared on the panel immediately. After reading it, Ching Yu's eyes lit up for a while, showing a very satisfied smile. Wonderful. It is worthy of the main task. After waiting so long, I was not disappointed. It is the third-party power in the Shinigami world after Shinigami and Shu are removed. Quincy. And, just like getting the power of Hollow in the first place. This fusion of the power of the Quincy bloodline can also be used continuously to increase the level. Needless to say, the elementary Flying Sickle Feet and the Sacred Arrowhead. These are all basic skills, and for the current Ching Yu, the 3 skills of Moving Blood Equipment, Static Blood Equipment and Finished Sacrament do not seem to be needed much. However, the last LV. Max can unlock the Sacred Text ability. Suddenly, Ching Yu's eyes lit up. No doubt, this ability is the top prize this time. Holy Text, the powerful abilities of the Quincy who belong to the Star-Crossed Knights. Although it says random, no matter which one is drawn, its power is almost not weaker than the Bankai of the captains. It would be a pity if I don't want to smoke one. Ching Yu looked at the panel in front of him, grinning. There was a smile of expectation, but at this moment, the final prompt of the system came in due course. Ding! Congratulations, host. It is detected that the host has completed all branch tasks in this main line, and additional rewards will be triggered. Ryatsu 30,000 points. When the prompt sound fell, Ching Yu was shocked again in his heart. Can't help but feel confused, and many more. What's the situation? 30,000 points directly in one go. However, before he could react, suddenly, he only felt that a majestic and incomparable spiritual power suddenly began to gush out of his body, and immediately began to flow and impact continuously. The density of the soul has increased, and Ryatsu has begun to rise at an unprecedented rate. It's like the process of turning a butterfly from a cocoon. Ching Yu could clearly feel that his soul became extremely solid and majestic, the feeling of Ryatsu. It's like changing from a small pond to a vast lake. This moment, even if there is no system tone, Ching Yu also knows. Your own Ryatsu has been upgraded to LV.7. However, what he didn't know at this time was, at this moment when his Ryatsu skyrocketed. Because I forgot to deliberately hold Ryatsu in his body, in an instant, a terrifying sense of oppression over the entire Rain Shinobi village came. A sense of oppression, like death, is over the whole world. The fall of the heavy rain is suddenly heavy, even the mysterious masked man who just returned to Rain Shinobi village. At the moment when it appeared, suddenly stunned. Chapter 157 His Pupil Technique, Indifferentiated Release. For subscription, ===. Advertisement. The invisible coercion floods between heaven and earth. As the sky will fall, this moment, the air in the entire Rain Shinobi village solidified almost instantly. Countless residents and ninjas, when they felt this terrifying sense of oppression, their hearts suddenly stagnated, and their backs became cold involuntarily. Countless people's faces were pale, sweat was raining, and they gritted their teeth and trembled in disbelief. This feeling. What's going on? The end is coming. But, damn it, even breathing is starting to get difficult. Is there any horror? Has it come to Rain Shinobi village? Now, everywhere in Rain Shinobi village, countless people were sweating coldly, and their hearts were terrified. No one knows what happened, but all people have the same feeling in their hearts. Fear. Just like the horror of the ants when they face the dragon. Even, many people have already begun to tremble involuntarily and have difficulty standing still. And at this time, on the side of Rain Shinobi's tower, Pain and Konan, who were about to leave here, suddenly froze in place. The two looked at each other, and they both saw a daze and a deep astonishment in each other's eyes. What? This feeling. What's going on? It's like being strangled by a pair of invisible big hands. It seems that involuntarily, it makes people feel scared. And 25, what's even weirder is, soon after Ching Yu just left, did this kind of change come. The two suddenly realized something, and their faces became stagnant. However, at this moment, what they don't know is, in the next level of the tower, Uchiha Obito, the masked man who just came back here, happened to just caught up with this moment. Quote! ! Quote. The moment when this oppression is sensed. Under the mask, Obito's face changed abruptly, and his breath stopped. This familiar feeling, is it, that guy? Obito's pupils shrank slightly, an image of a person appeared in his heart almost immediately. Brown-haired golden pupil, black knife on his waist. Ching Yu. That's right, compared to others, Obito is certainly not ignorant of this sense of oppression. Even, he had experienced it in person at that time. But that was a few years ago. At that time, Ching Yu had just joined the Akatsuki organization. Due to unclear identity and background, coupled with a series of reasons such as mystery of ability and vague purpose, Obito decided to mix with Ching Yu as an intern, a Fei, to test him personally. And just at that time, when Obito mentioned the pupil technique to Ching Yu reacted instantly and activated those burning golden pupils. At that moment, Obito was instantly enveloped by a terrifying and powerful sense of oppression. Advertisement, even the ground beneath my feet was crushed by a few centimeters. And at the time, what Obito felt, in addition to the actual gravity from the body, naturally there is also the oppression from the soul. However, because of the long time, he almost forgets this feeling. But I didn't expect, today, I felt it again. Obito gritted his teeth, and looked around quickly. I quickly searched for it. Where? Since this guy has activated his pupil technique. Absolutely. Just look at this place somewhere nearby. Read more at mtlarchive.com. So, where is it? While clenching his teeth, Obito's solemn gaze quickly looked at everything around him. Never let go of any corner or dark place, however. After a good moment, only then did he realize, there was no one around. The moment I realized this, under the mask, a thin layer of cold sweat suddenly appeared on Obito's forehead. At the same time, the pupils tightened. What's going on? He is not around. Could it be said that now a few years later, the scope of his pupil technique has reached such a level of undifferentiated release? Hiss, thinking of this, Obito's heart shrank suddenly. I can't help but sweat more. He didn't expect, after mixing himself for a few years, Ching Yu's strength, but it seems that it is still increasing. Is this guy a monster? However, at this moment, Rain Shinobi is on the other side in the distance, in Ching Yu's mansion. Unconsciously release Ryatsu's Ching Yu didn't realize these things at all. He just finished reading all the introductions on the system interface. Subsequently, with a satisfied smile on his face, he calmly closed the system panel. As for the emergence of Obito, of course he doesn't know anymore at this time. However, the moment he shut down the system, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Ching Yu's expression suddenly stagnated. At this moment, he suddenly realized that his Ryatsu, I don't know when, it has already enveloped the entire Rain Shinobi village. What is this? Aware of this, there was no time to think about it. Ching Yu quickly sank. Withdraw his thoughts quickly and concentrate instantly. Next moment, all the external Ryatsu will be stopped immediately. The huge sense of oppression shrouded in Rain Shinobi village disappeared at this moment. And the surging Ryatsu in Ching Yu's body, it also gradually calmed down and stopped being released. Advertisement. Ching Yu slowly let out a sigh of relief. A drop of sweat slowly fell. Subsequently, Ching Yu felt a little helpless. Really deserves to be the high-ranking Ryatsu of LV.7, it is really different from before. At the moment of promotion, it turned out that for the first time a situation that was temporarily out of control began to appear. This was unprecedented. Now, even if there is no need to go out, Ching Yu can still think about it. It is estimated that everyone in Rain Shinobi can feel the oppressive feeling just now. Oh, trouble. Ching Yu shook his head slightly. When this happened, in fact, Ching Yu had already understood it. After all, the control of Ryatsu, just like the control of chakra, it is also a technical job. It takes constant exercise to improve control. The difference between Ryatsu and chakra is that chakra doesn't have enough control, it can't be extracted at all. However, when Ryatsu is too strong to complete control, it may happen that Ryatsu unconsciously releases it. Simply put, it's like Aizen Sosuke and Stark, both. Although there is also a strong presence of Ryatsu. But there is a huge difference. Although Stark has extremely sufficient spiritual power in Ryatsu, in the early days, his control of the 900 was completely insufficient, so it was almost impossible to hold Ryatsu's external release. This also led to the fact that when Hueco Mundo was at the beginning, as long as the weak approached him, Ryatsu, who was released, would gradually consume his soul and die. But on the contrary, Aizen Sosuke, as in almost the entire Shinigami world, Ryatsu has almost reached the ceiling. His control over his own Ryatsu is the best in the world. Tomorrow morning there will be a horror Ryatsu that rivals or even surpasses Captain Yamamoto Motoryusai. In 100 years, he has never let anyone notice this. It is enough to show its high control. After thinking for a moment, Ching Yu walked to the window and looked out of the street. As a result, I immediately saw countless residents outside walking up the street with a look of uncertainty. I was looking around, not knowing what I was looking for. Seeing this picture, Ching Yu suddenly showed a helpless smile. I hope it won't cause too much commotion. And at this time, under the tower in the distance, Obito was thinking about it. Suddenly, I realized that the heavy pressure on my body actually disappeared. The air was restored to its original state. The raindrops outside also began to become the normal crash before. Everything, it all seems to be back to normal. For a moment, Obito was stunned again, his eyes stunned. Disappeared. What's going on? That guy. What the hell is doing? Chapter 158. Intern Alfie, is Hun Sheng Akatsuki's boss? For subscription, ===. Advertisement. That sudden sense of oppression, the disappearance is also strange, there is no change at all. After thinking for a moment, he still sinks slowly. Afterwards, I decided to ask Nagato and Konan. After all, during this time, they should have been in Rain Shinobi village. It stands to reason that if there is any movement on Ching Yu, the two of them should know something. While thinking, he lifted a step and walked upwards. However, when he came to the top, when I saw Konan and Pain who were also frozen, I couldn't help but be stunned. What's the situation? It seems that they don't know. And just when he was surprised, of course, Konan and Pain also noticed the masked man who appeared here. At the same time their minds moved, the two immediately turned around and looked over. Subsequently, Pain said in that usual indifferent tone. Are you back, Madara? The voice fell, interrupted the masked man Obito's thoughts. He also looked at the two of them, but instead of responding to Pain's words, he spoke in a low voice. That sense of oppression just now, what's going on? What is Ching Yu doing? As soon as this word came out, Pain and Konan moved their eyes at the same time. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Madara had already learned that Ching Yu caused it. Thought of here, Konan shook his head suddenly, lowered his eyes and said. Not sure. However, Ching Yu just left after reporting the mission information to us here. Just a minute after he left, this sense of oppression appeared directly. Hearing the words, the masked man suddenly raised his eyes slightly and said in a deep voice. So, did he deliberately release this oppression after he left? Pain shook his head slightly, indifferently. Do not rule out this possibility. However, since this sense of oppression hasn't caused any sudden changes, if it just disappears. It's also possible, it's just an accident, Pain said lightly. In fact, this is also the result obtained just after he and Konan unanimously agreed. After all, in addition to this sense of oppression is more special. Nothing really happened inside and outside Rain Shinobi. However, after hearing this inference, Obito under the mask suddenly narrowed his eyes, and then said in a low voice. Do not, absolutely impossible, based on my understanding of Ching Yu's character. This guy, but I never reveal my strength to the outside casually. Since it has appeared, there must be some reason we don't know. Having said this, Obito looked at Pen and Konan intently and said solemnly. Pen, he should still be in Rain Shinobi now. Contact him. Just ask why. Also, since he is back, Deidara should have been successfully recruited, right? Call everyone here. The masked man commanded in a low voice. Advertisement however, as soon as this word came out. Pain and Konan were taken aback at the same time, and they were speechless for a while. The masked man naturally noticed the strangeness between the two of them and suddenly said. What's the matter? The voice fell. After a moment of silence, Pain raised his eyes slightly and said. Actually, at present, only Ching Yu is back. He just completed the recruitment of Deidara not long ago. But for now, Juhei Deidara is still in the land of the earth, and if no surprises, I won't arrive at Rain Shinobi until tomorrow. Read more at mtlarchive.com. As soon as he said this, the masked man was startled slightly. And many more. What? Recruitment was completed not long ago. Juhei Deidara is still in the land of the earth, but Ching Yu has returned directly by himself? What's this? How to do it? If you don't use Mayfly technique to move like Ju, or Kamui's time and space ninjutsu. That guy, why is it so fast? Aware of this, Obito's Sharingan suddenly showed a faint light and said in a deep voice. What happened? How did that guy come back so quickly? Words fall, Konan immediately said calmly, not sure. However, it is probably some kind of temporal and spatial ninjutsu. As soon as this word came out, suddenly, the face of the masked man suddenly changed. What? Time and space ninjutsu, this. Among the weird techniques that guy mastered, actually there is still an extremely rare space-time ninjutsu. This totally unheard of information, in an instant, it completely refreshed all the masked man's previous cognition of Ching Yu. Years ago, he used White Zetsu to monitor Ching Yu for a long time. However, he has never seen him use any similar spells. Thought of here, the masked man's face suddenly became gloomy, and he looked at an unknown place and said. It looks like, our pupil master Ching Yu has been hidden from us for a long time. The masked man said in a low voice, his eyes sharp. Akatsuki, it has always been his tool for realizing the Eyes of the Moon project. For this reason, whether it is Nagato or Konan, whether it is Kisame or Itachi, it should be a tool to realize this plan. And from the beginning, the masked man I hope to be able to master everything about them thoroughly. But now, he suddenly found out, Ching Yu, this guy has increasingly become an uncontrollable variable. The mysterious true eyes of the evil king, the strange and unpredictable shinobi, and countless hidden abilities. Make this man become a variable that is very likely to block Project Tasuki no Mi. This existence, you must find a solution. And the solution. In fact, the masked man has already been implemented on other Akatsuki members. There are only three. The first is to completely master all his intelligence and make the most of it, just like treating Itachi. Second, that is to turn him into a tool man willingly by blackening him, just like treating Nagato. And third, it is the real, solved advertisement. But if it is not final, Obito will certainly not choose this method. He is not stupid after all. Choosing to fight against Ching Yu will only cause Akatsuki internal consumption, or maybe it will make Project Tasuki no Mi continue to postpone it. Therefore, naturally, one or two should be selected first. Thinking so far, the masked man raised his eyes, looked at Pen indifferently, and said in a low voice. Pain, call Ching Yu here. Now, I can't help but start to be more curious. He just released the reason for that oppression. As the voice fell, Pain raised his eyes slightly, indifferently. Understood. With that, he was ready to raise his hand and start Jia Yin. However, as soon as he raised his hand, suddenly, a faint voice came directly from behind him. No need. Am I here? As soon as the voice fell, the audience was dead in an instant. Almost instantaneously, the face of the masked man and Pain changed abruptly at the same time, and quickly looked in that direction. But I don't know when, Ching Yu turned out to be, already standing there. Now, he leaned on the wall with his back, folded his hands on his chest, with a slight smile on his face, and looked at this side leisurely. Seeing this picture, the masked man suddenly shrank his pupils. Damn it. What so? When did he come? No, impossible. This speed. What is going on? Finish, I didn't see it clearly. It's as if, appeared directly there, the masked man froze suddenly. And Pain and Konan on the side, of course, their eyes stopped at the same time. They didn't expect. Ching Yu, who left not long ago, has returned. And, this way of playing, is terribly weird, more importantly. The timing of his coming, isn't it a coincidence? Just at this time? Now, no one wants it at all. At this time when the masked man appeared as Uchiha Madara, Ching Yu, unexpectedly came in suddenly. In an instant, above the entire tower, there is no sound. However, after only a moment, Ching Yu raised his eyebrows leisurely, looked at the masked man, and said with a light smile. Yo, I haven't seen you in a while. A Fei, intern, how come you get the same as Akatsuki's boss? You actually gave an order to Pain? It's really unexpected. Should. You, an intern, are Akatsuki's true leader, right? Chapter 159 The Madara who was beaten to death by Senju Hashirama. For subscription, ===. Advertisement, as soon as the voice fell. The audience stopped for time, fell into a dead silence. This moment, whether it was the masked man himself or Pen and Konan on the side, all his pupils shrank slightly, startled. They didn't expect that Ching Yu would suddenly say something like this. What is this? Those words just now, could it be that they were completely heard? All three froze. At this moment, the atmosphere is embarrassing to the extreme. Under the mask of the masked man, a cold sweat suddenly appeared on his face. The mind is interrupted, the brain is almost blank. What's going on? What a coincidence. Just when I gave the order to Pain, it happened to be heard by him? Was the trickiest guy in this Akatsuki organization? The masked man's face suddenly sank, and he gritted his teeth slightly. Damn it. Why, it's just this time, could it be that? Today, do I have to identify this guy? The face of the man in the mask was pale, his brain was running at high speed. I was racking my brains to think about how to break this awkward status quo. However, Pain and Konan on the side were equally stunned. The reason why Pain was stunned was naturally the same as the masked man. However, Konan on the side couldn't help but look weird. And many more. What's the situation? Didn't I tell Ching Yu before, isn't Akatsuki's leader Nagato? 900 Could it be said that he regarded the masked man in front of him as Nagato controlling Pen? The heavy rain was beating the tower, it made a crackling hit on it. In the entire tower meeting room, there was only terrifyingly quiet air. After a while, but it was Ching Yu still speaking, breaking the silence. He stepped over here leisurely and smiled lightly. Do not misunderstand. Of course I didn't come to overhear your meeting. It's just that when I was studying a newly developed move, I accidentally expanded the range too much, and it seemed to cover the entire Rain Shinobi village. So, in order not to cause misunderstanding, I just wanted to come here to explain to you. But I didn't expect. I just heard some incredible content. Ching Yu spoke methodically, his eyes leisurely. He really came here for this reason. But, of course it's just nonsense to develop moves or something. However, as soon as the words fell, suddenly, the three people present moved in their hearts. What's the situation? That terrifying sense of oppression just now. Turns out, it's just this guy who is developing new moves. Hiss, advertisement. What kind of trick is it enough to cover the entire Rain Shinobi? The three of them were suddenly shocked, however at this time. However, Ching Yu once again looked at the masked man in front, chuckled and said. Then, let's explain. Hooligan, what is your true identity in Akatsuki-zhang? Ching Yu's eyes flickered slightly, and asked leisurely. The voice fell, the masked man's face stiffened again. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Whispering sound, this guy, it seems that you really want to bite. However, what he didn't know was, at this moment, Pen and Konan were moved, but they could understand. After all, judging from their understanding of Ching Yu. According to his usual character, since he happened to run into this scene, it is impossible not to ask the details. If you really don't ask this time, on the contrary, it is even more inconsistent with his direct behavior style. Therefore, after thinking for a moment, Pen on the side looked slightly condensed, and decided to speak personally to explain to Ching Yu. After all, as Akatsuki's leader on the bright side. What he said, of course, still has a lot of weight. The picture just now, indeed, it would be more reasonable for him to explain. However, he naturally does not intend to expose the identity of the masked man. Instead, I intend to make up a lie. Pain took a step forward, looked at Ching Yu indifferently, and was about to speak. However, the moment he opened his mouth, suddenly, the masked man's voice came directly from behind, interrupting him. He could only hear him speak in a deep voice with the low-pitched voice that has always been used to pretend to be B. Hey, nothing. Since you have seen it, Then it seems that it's just a boring trick if you continue to disguise it. Hear this voice, Tiandao Pain and Konan were taken aback at the same time, but their expressions changed instantly. What's going on? Is he going to have a showdown with Ching Yu? However, before the two of them think carefully. Suddenly, but seeing the masked man don't know when, the blood-red light in his eyes suddenly began to appear. That is, Mangekyo Sharingan, and immediately after that, he suddenly raised his hand, placed it in front of his Sharingan, staring at Ching Yu here, and then spoke in an extremely proud and indifferent tone. Well, perhaps, a guy your age, have never heard of my Uchiha Madara legend. As soon as the voice fell, the audience was silent for an instant. This moment, don't say it's Pen and Konan who are bewildered by them. Even Ching Yu, advertisement can't help but be taken aback. What's the situation? Gee, this B, actually started the show directly? Don't pretend to be funny, start to pretend Madara in front of me. This moment, Ching Yu felt a little bit dumbfounded in his heart for an instant. He originally thought that after asking those words, Obito would choose to reinstall Alfie's appearance and pretend to be crazy and foolish. But he didn't expect that this B is really fierce. It turned out to be a direct showdown, for a while. Ching Yu didn't even know what expression to use to respond. After being quiet for a while, he forcibly resisted the smile in his heart, pretended to be puzzled, looked at the masked man, and said suspiciously. You just said, are you the ninja Shira Uchiha Madara? Yes. The masked man still kept his hand in front of his eyes, staring at this side indifferently, and said in a low voice. It looks like, even a kid your age is not ignorant. You still know my Madara's name. The masked man began to pretend. He knows, now that it's a showdown. Then, we must find a way to shape Ching Yu in front of me. Thus, in the future, it might be logical to turn him directly into a toolman like Nagato or Hoshigaki Kisame. It can just solve his trouble. Then, he decided to act a little more. However, what he didn't expect was, after hearing this, Ching Yu on the opposite side suddenly raised his eyebrows and then, with a puzzled expression on his face. Is it Uchiha Madara who was beaten to death by Konaha's first Hokage Senju Hashirama? The voice fell. Suddenly, Pain and Konan on the side were completely stunned. This is his first impression of that Uchiha Madara. Now, the masked man on the side suddenly twitched the corners of his mouth. Are you special? Put it here and give me a sincere bargain? Instead, immediately gritted his teeth and said solemnly. At the time, I was not dead. Hashirama didn't completely defeat me at all, but... However, his words just got here. Ching Yu suddenly raised his hand and said in surprise. Wait, I don't understand. If you hadn't died then, you will live to this day. You will be almost 100 years old, right? But you look like, why are you still so alive? I'm looking for someone to continue my life. Chapter 160 Be the light of the right way again. For subscription, ===. Advertisement. The face of the masked man suddenly froze. This, continue your life, it's all, what the FK? I have shown my Mangekyo Sharingan, you still have so many doubts? Like everyone else, don't you just trust me and you're done? The face of the masked man was green, he didn't expect it at all. After he broke the identity of Uchiha Madara, this Ching Yu not only was not deterred, but, even more impressive. The eyes of the masked man were sharp, however, at this time. Pain on the side naturally noticed this too. He suddenly raised his eyes, looked at Ching Yu indifferently, and said indifferently. Ching Yu, this matter. A long story, but to put it simply, Madara and Akatsuki are currently in a cooperative relationship. We all have the same purpose, that is to collect tail beasts, so as to achieve world peace. So you are not enemies, there is no need to be suspicious of each other here. Pain said indifferently, at the end of the voice. He did not look at Ching Yu, but at the masked man Uchiha Madara on one side. Because of what he said, of course, it was not just for Ching Yu to hear. Same, it's also talking to the masked man. After all, looking at the state of the masked man today, he knows that this guy seems to be testing Ching Yu like a few years ago. And this suspicion, obviously, it is totally unfavorable for future plans. As the leader of Akatsuki, at this moment, of course he has to stand up and adjust. When his voice fell, the masked man naturally understood what Pain meant, but he lowered his eyes slightly and stopped talking. He still knows. There is no common sense at all to talk to this golden-eyed guy in front of you. And the name of Uchiha Madara, although it was already enough to shake most of the ninja world. But still can't control the lawless guy in front of him. It's tricky. He stared at Ching Yu, thinking in his heart. On this side, Ching Yu raised his eyebrows slightly, looked at Pen, and nodded thoughtfully. It looks like, the leader still trusts him very much. Then, of course I won't continue to doubt. With that, Ching Yu turned his gaze to the masked man again, and then suddenly chuckled and said. I would like to take care of you from now on, Uchiha Madara. Quote. The masked man didn't reply, still coldly silent. Ching Yu didn't ask herself to be boring either, just waved her hand and said with a chuckle. It looks like this Uncle Madara can't talk to me. Go away, talking. Ching Yu turned around directly. Slowly paced forward, and left directly and leisurely. This relaxed look, as if nothing happened. Suddenly, all three people behind him were stunned to live in place. However, at this time, while walking on the way back, Ching Yu's eyes flickered slightly. The corner of his mouth still had a faint smile. This is of course not because Obito blew himself up, but because, just after the conversation just now, before he knew it, he even directly completed a hidden side task. Witness the self-destruct of the mysterious masked man's identity, 1/1 completed. Reward, Reiatsu plus 1000, Mall points plus 100. Advertisement and, more importantly, he also triggered an additional special plot mission. That's right, not a certain branch or main line, but an unprecedented special plot mission. Therefore, he decided to leave there as soon as possible to see what the task was. Walking forward while holding an umbrella, Ching Yu's eyes were bright, and he called out in his heart expectantly. System, open the task list. Ding. The system prompt sounded immediately in my mind. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Congratulations host, you have successfully triggered the special plot mission. Do you want to start receiving tasks? Take over? Of course Ching Yu didn't hesitate anymore, and then I saw an aqua blue illusory screen instantly unfolding in front of Ching Yu, and at the same time, the prompt sounded again. Ding. Special plot task. Report the true identity of the mysterious masked man to Akatsuki organization, 0/1, unfinished. Task reward preview. Mall system upgrade, hollow power upgrade, Quincy descent upgrade. As soon as the prompt tone falls, when you see the task list in front of you, Ching Yu suddenly opened his eyes subconsciously, and many more so-called special plot missions. It turned out to be me to calculate Brother Tuzi? Reported his true identity directly to Nagato and Konan. It's so cruel. With emotion, on the other hand, Ching Yu grinned suddenly, showing a smile. Even though I can't get it right, however, the mall is upgraded, the power of hollow is upgraded, the blood of the Quincy is upgraded. If you don't try this unprecedented and major reward, wouldn't it betray the goodwill of the dog system? Oh, there is no way, then. Just like before, let's do the light of the right way again. The smile in Ching Yu's eyes lit up slightly, but that being said, if you want to accomplish this task, you can't just talk about it. After all, from the conversation just now, Ching Yu is already keenly aware of it. That is, the current Nagato and Konan seem to have a lot of trust in the identity of the masked man. Because, when Ching Yu tentatively raised his doubts about the identity of Uchiha Madara, there was almost no change in their expressions. This indicates that, at least for now, they don't have much doubt about Madara. So, if Ching Yu just ran away like this, if you told Pain and Konan that the real identity of the masked man is Uchiha Obito, it might be considered a joke. So, to accomplish this task, you have to find a way to completely confirm his identity. Aware of this, Ching Yu thought of a suitable plan almost instantly. Immediately after, the smile on his face grew stronger. Next, just wait for a suitable time. The behind-the-scenes career of Brother Tuzi. It's about to end. At the same time on the other side. Screen transfer. From the dark and damp rain country to the distant fire country where birds and flowers fragrant. Ask for flowers advertisement. Ching Yu and the people in Akatsuki's organization over there, naturally, it is impossible for what happened here in Konaha in the past few days. But actually, these days, probably since the Uchiha genocide. One of Konaha's most turbulent times, everything. Of course, it was all because of the major events that happened during the Chunin exam not long ago. Third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen died. The last blood of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Sasuke was taken away. Naruto, it exploded, and this time, also because the pursuit of Orochimaru was fruitless, it declared a failure. The Kakashi squad and the Asuma squad reluctantly returned to Konaha, and San Shinobi's ninja troops have also set off to return to the Kingdom of Wind. Everything, it seems that they are beginning to move towards recovery. A lot of people, today, choose to worship the buried Sarutobi Hiruzen. But just today, a different ninja also came to the place of worship. He was tall and dressed in a red coat with brown clothes inside, guessing clogs on his feet, and armor-like equipment on both hands. 00 The wild white hair reaches up to the waist, and there are red marks under the eyes. There is no Konaha Shinobi logo forehead protector on the forehead, but a very eye-catching word, oil, is written on it. It is one of the legendary three ninjas, the disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Jiraiya. As an optimistic ninja who is wild and free. This time, when I saw the tombstone of Sarutobi Hiruzen ahead. Even I can't show the smile of the past. Silence is everywhere around. Of course, there were also many people around who noticed Jiraiya's arrival. Such as Kakashi and Guy, but at this heavy moment, no one chose to disturb him. Jiraiya's face was extremely heavy. Do not know why. He was alone in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen's tomb and sat quietly on his knees for a long time. Until, the sky is dim and the yellow sun will set. There are not many people near the mausoleum, and Jiraiya only then slowly stood up and decided to leave, but just when he turned around, suddenly, only to realize that behind, stood a serious-looking middle-aged man. Now, the moment Jiraiya saw him, Jiraiya couldn't help but be a little surprised. This person turned out to be Konoha's genius military division. Naruto. While he was thinking, he heard the deer in front of him speak for a long time. His eyes were solemn. Mr. Jiraiya, I have time to talk. This Chunin exam? In this war, there is a force that is ignored by everyone. I want you to know. Jiraiya was taken aback for a moment. What did you say? Naruto raised her eyes slightly and slowly said. Yes. I suspect that in this incident, besides Yin and San Shinobi, other forces have also joined in. Rain Shinobi Village, Rain Shinobi Village, Chapter 161. Watch him in the morning, and war will break out in the evening. For subscription, ===. Advertisement. The wind blows. The tree moves. Evening has arrived, and the sky will be dark. Before the tomb of Sarutobi Hiruzen, two ninjas stood silently. Looked at each other, and only a moment later, when Nara Shikahisa's voice fell. Jiraiya was stunned. He stared at Naruto with incomparable surprise, and said, "You just said, this Chunin chaos, also involves Rain Shinobi." Yes. Nara nodded deeply for a long time. This is my inference based on various evidences and doubts. Jiraiya froze slightly, speechless. First of all, he didn't expect it at all. Naruto, the most powerful subordinate of teacher Sarutobi in the past, would come to find himself at this time. And secondly, what he didn't expect was, in his mouth, he even mentioned the war-torn small country Shinobu village. Rain Shinobi. This place, Jiraiya can't be unfamiliar. Even, here, it directly carries his memories of a long time. At the time of the Second Ninja War, he is here, fighting side by side with Tsunade and Orochimaru, against the legendary ninja known as the Demigod, the leader of Rain Shinobi Village, Hanzo of the Salamander. And because of this, the three of them won the title of the Megatron Ninja World. Konaha Sanin. After the war, Jiraiya meets three war orphans of Rain Shinobi. It is three young children, Nagato, Yahiko, Konan. Perhaps it was to make up for the damage caused to them by the war, or to sympathize with these children from the heart. Jiraiya decided to keep them by his side, teach them ninjutsu personally, and teach them to become stronger. It was the beginning of the three children. Soon after, Jiraiya found out that this child named Nagato was gifted and intelligent. Also has a pair of special eyes. Then, Jiraiya involuntarily regarded him as the son of prophecy, mentioned in Toad Sage's mouth, the existence that can bring salvation and light to the ninja world. However, the good times will not last long. Later, Jiraiya left them for some reason. Soon after, when I heard their news, have already died in the chaos of war. Jiraiya repented of it, and, together with Rain Shinobi Village, I sealed it into my past memories. But he did not expect, right in front of the mausoleum of his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen. Advertisement. He will hear this familiar place again. After a good moment, he raised his eyes slightly and looked at Naruto again, his eyes complicated and suspicious. But listen to everyone in the village. This war was provoked by Orochimaru. The Odo-gender village was established by Orochimaru, Tsunade, because Orochimaru pretended to be Fourth Kazekage and gave orders. It stands to reason, Rain Shinobi, it seems impossible to join this, right? Mr. Luju, have you noticed something? Jiraiya's eyes narrowed slightly, and she spoke methodically. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen's death made him deeply saddened, of course he is not the one who will be defeated by this kind of sadness. The brain can still think clearly, so he knows, people with high IQs like Naruto can't come from groundless sources. Jiraiya's voice fell. Naruto nodded immediately, then his face was solemn and authentic. Actually, in the chaos of the Chunin exam, Tsunade and Itoyan village are the focal points. There is indeed an existence that also appears in our sight. That is Rain Shinobi Village, a ninja named Ching Yu. Ching Yu? Jiraiya frowned suddenly, then helplessly shook her head, saying, "It seems that I have never heard of it." Naruto nodded and explained. "It's normal. After all, he also looks relatively young, he is probably just an adult. And this time he came to Konaha, claiming to be a teacher of swordsmanship at Rain Shinobi Village Chunin School. I came to Konaha to escort 3 students to take the exam. The reason why the villagers and other Jonin didn't have any impression of him was probably because he didn't show up on the worst night. So it is." Jiraiya nodded thoughtfully. "Really? If it's just a young ninja teacher, it's normal if you haven't heard of it. But, teaching swordsmanship?" Jiraiya was slightly confused. In the past war between Konaha and Rain Shinobi, he had never seen a Rain Shinobi ninja who used a sword to fight. Did they begin to reform and learn from the warriors of the Iron Kingdom to fight? However, while he was thinking, Lu Ju continued to speak, interrupting his thoughts. In fact, long before the disaster came that night, Sarutobi-sama and I had already noticed his weirdness. No, not right. It's not us, it's better to say. Hitaki Kakashi noticed him first. It was his words that reminded me. Huh? Kakashi? Jiraiya's expression moved slightly again. He didn't expect that he would suddenly hear the name of his disciple. The amount of information Naruto gave, it is a bit big. The reason why he is a disciple is also very simple. After all, his apprentice is 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. And Namikaze Minato, advertisement, it happens to be Hitaki Kakashi's teacher. Once it came down, it was probably because the relationship was 2 generations away. Naruto's eyes moved slightly, seeming to see through Jiraiya's doubts, and quickly explained. Actually, when the ninja named Ching Yu came to Konaha, it seemed that he had already met Kakashi a few years ago. And, this time, Kakashi recognized him quickly too. However, the strange place is not here, it's... He seems to be very clear about Konaha's condition. Not only knows the entire life experience of Uzumaki Naruto, but also knows information about 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato and the former Nine Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Kushina. As soon as this word came out, Jiraiya's face changed slightly just for a moment. What? A ninja from the outer village who was less than 18 years old, actually knew these Konaha inner affairs. Who was he? However, before he had time to think carefully, Naruto continued to say in a deep voice. What's even weirder is, in that morning, Sarutobi-sama and I decided to send an intelligence team to Rain Shinobi village to investigate him, and placed Emu next to him to monitor him. But, that day, at night, suddenly war broke out. Moreover, even the Anbu members who monitored Rain Shinobi were all killed by Orochimaru and his team, and none of them survived. Everything, isn't it a coincidence that is a little outrageous? Narashikagu stared at Jiraiya and spoke slowly. Quote question mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. So far, at this moment, Jiraiya's pupils shrank suddenly, feeling a chill behind his back. Heard this, he finally understood the meaning of Narashika's words a long time ago. No wonder he just said, in addition to Sand Shinobi and Itoyen, there is an unknown force. Jiraiya's gaze narrowed slightly, and his face suddenly became heavy. He gradually understood everything. Ching Yu, the swordsman in Rain Shinobi village. In this Chunin exam, it seems that I did not participate in any action. But, all kinds of special coincidences in these wars 3.7, but they can't get around him at all. Watch him in the morning, and war will break out in the evening. And the Anbu member who was monitoring him happened to be killed by the unrelated pedestrian Orochimaru. These events, if it is simply placed there is really no doubt. But, after a long time of integration by Naruto, even Jiraiya has to start to doubt. This teacher of Rain Shinobi, it's impossible. Is it really a member of this Konaha subversion plan? If it really is, so, what is the relationship between him and Orochimaru? Cooperation. Or, higher, Rain Shinobi Village. What role does Rain Shinobi Village play in this plan? Chapter 162 The Master of Rain Shinobi, Akatsuki's Duel Project, for subscription, ===. Advertisement The wind around the mausoleum, it seems to have become very noisy. As night fell, the air seemed to freeze more and more. Jiraiya remained silent, her face complex and solemn. To be honest, when he first returned to the village, when he learned that his teacher was killed by his former companions, his heart was very complicated and sad. But now, the intervention of an external force, in an instant, he added a thick doubt to the complexity in his heart. Why? Why in this incident that seems to have nothing to do with Rain Shinobi? Will such a strange figure appear? After all Who is Rain Shinobi? After thinking in silence for a long time, Jiraiya lifted his eyes slightly, staring at Naruto dignifiedly, and said in a low voice. So, what about the intelligence team sent to Rain Shinobi to investigate? Regarding the mysterious Rain Shinobi teacher, did they gain anything this time? Hearing this, Naruto still shook her head slowly, somewhat disappointed. During their inquiries, the ninjas at Rain Shinobi did admit that Ching Yu was a teacher from Shinobi school. Moreover, it also shows that he did take the Chunin exam this time. However, when our ninja asked to see Rain Shinobi Chief 25 Hanzo of the Salamander, the other party, but he refused mercilessly. In the end, they didn't even step into the territory of Rain Shinobi village at all, and they were forcibly driven away. So the information obtained is also ambiguous. Naruto did not rush to finish for a long time. Jiraiya still had complicated eyes, nodded, and said. It seems, as Mr. Luju said, in the Chunin exam this time, in addition to Orochimaru, Rain Shinobi and this Ching Yu, indeed have some problems. Speaking of which, Jiraiya suddenly looked at Naruto again, and after pondering for a moment, he said solemnly. The reason why Mr. Luju came to tell me this, I'm afraid Konaha will be affected by unknown factors like Rain Shinobi. Yes. Naruto suddenly sighed slightly and said. Rain Shinobi, after all, has always been Konaha's enemy. Although they have been living in peace for many years, Rain Shinobi village and their leader seem to have always had the ambition to expand their territory. I'm afraid this Chunin disorder, maybe, it's just one of their tentative methods. However, these words, I also said to the two consultants in the village, I hope they can pay attention to it. However, they thought I was just guessing for no reason. Also, my spying plan was denied. Upon hearing this, Jiraiya was taken aback for a moment. You said, spying? Yes. Naruto raised her head slightly and said seriously. In fact, when Lord Sarutobi was alive, he mentioned it to me. If you can't find out about that Ching Yu this time, you can find a way. Send someone to sneak into it to spy. After all, so many years have passed. The internal situation of Rain Shinobi has long been a mystery to us. Advertisement, even. We can't even determine whether Rain Shinobi's leader is Hanzo of the Salamander. As soon as he said this, Jiraiya's heart moved slightly. However, before he could think carefully, Naruto solemnly said. You just heard it too. When our ninja asked Rain Shinobi if he could meet Hanzo, the other ninjas seemed to be touched with some kind of secret, and couldn't wait to drive them away. That's why I suspected. The real controller of Rain Shinobi has long since changed. Read more at mtlarchive.com. As soon as this word came out, it was like a bolt from the blue sky, and it blasted in Jiraiya's mind. The leader of Rain Shinobi may have changed. This sure plan made Jiraiya startled again. He had no idea that he would hear such a bold speculation from Naruto's mouth. The key is, it sounds so reasonable, I have to be convinced. As expected of Konaha's chief military officer. This kind of thinking, it's really far and far away. Jiraiya stared at the deer for a long time, then let out a deep breath. His eyes were abruptly firm, as if he had made a certain decision, and he said in a deep voice. Why? Let me do it. The voice fell. This time it was Narashika's turn to be stunned. What? Jiraiya's face did not change at all, but raised his eyes slightly, and said solemnly. Since Mr. Sarutobi had the idea of spying on Rain Shinobi before he was alive. Plus, Mr. Luju, your judgment on the form, with emotion and reason. I should go to Rain Shinobi in person to see the real situation inside. This is also for Konaha. When these words fell, Luju's expression was shocked. He didn't expect it at all. Jiraiya decided to go in person so decisively. Without any hesitation, after all. What courage is this? In fact, the reason why he came here to discuss with Jiraiya, the original purpose was to discuss the most reasonable plan. After all, a long time ago, Sarutobi Hiruzen hoped that Jiraiya would inherit Naruto. Therefore, after his death, countless people in Konaha village, including Naraluku, have actually considered Jiraiya as the default candidate for 5th Hokage. But, he did not expect that Jiraiya planned to go in person. After being shocked for a long time, his face suddenly became serious. However, before he could speak, suddenly, an old voice suddenly came from behind. No. As soon as the voice fell, Jiraiya and Luju both froze at the same time and looked to the side. But see, in the darkness on the side, a white-haired old man with a cane walked out impressively. Behind him, there are several ninja guards. Advertisement. The moment I saw him, Jiraiya and Luju spoke subconsciously almost at the same time. Advisor. That's right. The old man who stopped speaking out. It was the senior consultant in Konaha village, and now the top leader of Konaha village, Midokado Homura. But at this moment, his face was extremely serious, and he said solemnly. Absolutely not, Jiraiya, you are the only and most suitable heir to Naruto among Konaha today. It's Konaha's mainstay today. Let you sneak into other Shinobu village alone, how is it like this? The voice fell, the faces of Jiraiya and Luju suddenly turned helpless, and they smiled bitterly. And then, when Jiraiya was about to argue, Midokado Homura didn't give him this chance at all, and said directly and solemnly. Okay, please don't be capricious. Hiruzen, he has always placed extremely high hopes on you. Before this mausoleum, are you still going to disappoint him? As soon as he said this, Jiraiya was speechless in an instant. For a while, I don't know what expression to use to respond to 900. This consultant, all moved out the dead Sarutobi Hiruzen. Now, going on, it seems that something is wrong. Naraluju on the side also looked at Jiraiya, did not speak, but shook his head slowly, fully expressing his attitude. Until a long time later, Jiraiya looked helplessly at Midokado Homura and smiled bitterly. Okay, I get it. I will stay in the village temporarily and think of a better plan. That's fine. Midokado Homura nodded slightly satisfied. Although he is stubborn, but he is not stupid, of course he knows that in this situation. Only by keeping Jiraiya, Konaha has a chance to rise again. Time passed quietly. In a blink of an eye, it was already 2 days later. The other side, in Rain Shinobi village, today. It also happened to be a rainless Sunday and the weather was fine. And on this day, Akatsuki's members completed a big assembly again. Kakuzu, who was originally in the Land of Thunder, and Itachi and Kisame who went out to perform tasks, have successfully returned to Rain Shinobi today. And that new member Deidara, also under the leadership of Ju, returned yesterday. Ching Yu strolled leisurely on the street, preparing to go to the meeting place. But actually, he had learned from Konan in advance. Now, Akatsuki has 2 plans, to be prepared, and started at the same time. Chapter 163 The Shock of Mission Impossible Konaha, for subscription, ===. Advertisement After the rain, the sun is warm. Even in the air, there was a hint of earthy fragrance. Ching Yu walked on the street. Feel comfortable, however, I can't help but feel a little bit emotional. Rain Shinobi village, which has always had a somber atmosphere, only occasionally becomes a little more vibrant on this Sunday. Thought of here, Ching Yu unexpectedly began to recall that beautiful scene in Ashina City, the country of fire. If it keeps raining, for Ching Yu who has lived here for a long time, she still doesn't like it very much. However, when he was walking and thinking, they often pass by some Rain Shinobi village residents or ninjas. Since knowing that Ching Yu and Lord Angel are an organization, and after successfully leading the students to take the Chunin exam and returning, many people naturally have a very good impression of him. Yo, Teacher Ching Yu, good morning. Good morning Mr. Ching Yu. Good morning. Faced with these polite greetings, Ching Yu will certainly respond with a friendly smile. After all, he didn't have any bitterness and hatred, and when facing these friendly faces, he didn't need to face with cold eyes like a paralyzed face. At this moment, another familiar voice came. Oh, Senior Ching Yu. This voice is full of youthfulness, and it sounds very public. Of course Ching Yu knew who it was. He just raised his eyes slightly, and immediately saw the yellow-haired figure walking towards here not far away. It is an artistic genius, Deidara. At this time, he had successfully changed into Akatsuki's red cloud and black robe, and also put on the blue ring. It is worth noting that he also painted nail polish. However, it seems that because of this, he was a little uncomfortable, keeping his hands slightly apart. Seeing this picture, Ching Yu suddenly chuckled and said casually, Just finished painting? Hearing this, Deidara was taken aback for a moment, and then suddenly showed a helpless expression, spreading her hands. Oh, yes. It's weird that the blue-haired woman forced me to do it. If it wasn't for everyone in the organization to smear it, I wouldn't want to mess with this kind of mess. Wait. Only halfway through Deidara's words, her face suddenly changed. He immediately looked at Ching Yu's hands, and then looked over with an incredible expression, and said loudly and authentically. Hey, no, senior. You didn't paint at all? The voice fell. Ching Yu's face did not change, still smiling casually. The nail polish was thrown away by me years ago. Hearing this, Deidara's face suddenly turned black. This way. Damn it, if I knew that, I too. Let's go, stop complaining. Ching Yu smiled and waved his hand, interrupted him, and then walked forward. Words fall, Deidara reacted immediately. Then he followed, and after a while, he seemed to think of something again, and asked in a low voice. Senior, I heard the leader say yesterday. The Akatsuki organization has to gather a total of 9 full members before starting the Tail Beast capture plan. Now, is there all of them? Deidara asked curiously. Ching Yu didn't raise his eyes, and said directly. Not yet. After you joined, there should be exactly 8, just one person short of it. Deidara's face suddenly turned disappointed, and she shrugged and said. In this case, doesn't that mean that the Tail Beast capture plan can only be started after another person is found? Advertisement, what a weird rule. Boring, huh? Deidara curled her mouth and said. Ching Yu just glanced at him and stopped talking nonsense. He knows, taking Deidara's words of tuberculosis properties. Once we start talking today, I'm afraid I won't stop thinking about it. But, of course he knew what Deidara said. The reason why Pain decided to convene the 9 people to start the project, of course, was not because of obsessive-compulsive disorder or a special hobby. But because, 9 people are a necessary condition for Akatsuki's plan. Certainly, read more at mtlarchive.com, it is not the condition to capture Jinchuriki, but the condition to extract the Tail Beast. Akatsuki's purpose, it is to extract all the Tail Beasts and store them in the Ghetto statue to make the so-called Tail Beast weapons. But, killing Jinchuriki will only let the Tail Beast die with it. It takes a long time before the Tail Beast can be resurrected again. Therefore, they need to use a special ninjutsu. The magic dragon is all sealed, and the activation of this ninjutsu requires 9 people to activate the skill at the same time. This is the purpose of summoning the 9 people. And, if nothing else, in the meeting to be held today. Yes, there is something about the 9th person, Hidan. After a while, Ching Yu and Deidara went directly to the meeting base. Except for Pain, Konan and Ju, the 2 of them are still the fastest. And in fact, although the grouping of the 2 of them has not been decided yet. However, because Deidara admired Ching Yu's explosive art, she always stood beside him. After a while, when seeing Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame and Kakuzu coming in one after another at the entrance of the cave in the distance, Deidara's expression suddenly became strange. Afterwards, she frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. Senior, who are these people? He hasn't been out of the village much, so naturally he is not familiar with these people anymore. See here, of course, Ching Yu also introduced by the way, casually. The red-eyed one is from Konaha's Sharingan Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi, who joined after slaughtering the whole clan. The one with the big sword, one of Mist Shinobi's 7 ninja swords, Hoshigaki Kisame. The remaining one is the undead ninja with a secret grievance from Takigakura's rebellious ninja, Kakuzu. Quote. Listening to Ching Yu's narration, Deidara suddenly showed a clear expression. But, as young and frivolous, he naturally has no awe for these people. After knowing the name and identity, he still just glanced indifferently and said nothing. And there is no doubt that the few people on the opposite side. Of course it is impossible to meet this new member. As he walked inward, I saw Hoshigaki Kisame grinning slowly and chuckling. Oh, what an accident, is Akatsuki's 8th member a child? It looks like a genius ninja, just like you, Itachi-san. Hoshigaki Kisame looked at Uchiha Itachi and said. And heard that, Itachi just glanced in this direction, then withdrew his gaze, his face was flat and he didn't speak. Deidara's joining age, advertisement it was indeed a bit smaller than when he joined Akatsuki. I can join Akatsuki's members so early, it shows that the strength is definitely good. Therefore, of course, Itachi would not despise him. And this side, Kakuzu just glanced at it and said nothing. Although I don't know the strength of this child, but he will not be as aggressive as before. After all, it was hard to earn back the 2 hearts that were blown up by Ching Yu. Can't lose it anymore, after seeing everyone coming together. Pain naturally did not have any ink marks and said indifferently. Diaresis call everyone to come for a meeting today, there are 2 main purposes. First, just get to know the newly joined members. Rebel from the land, the holder of the bloodline limit explosion style, Deidara. From now on, he will act as a full member with Ching Yu. The voice fell, the eyes of Itachi, Kisame and Kakuzu quickly focused on Deidara's face. At the same time, all my heart moved. Explosion style ninja? It is indeed rarely heard. By the way, should this kind of kid be paired with Ching Yu? The expressions of the 3 are a little weird. Ching Yu's strength. They probably knew in their hearts, it was basically confirmed that it was definitely on the top floor of Akatsuki. But he was assigned a bear boy as a partner, so, wouldn't it be a hindrance to him? Several people were wondering in their hearts. Pain didn't seem to notice their incomprehension at all, but he remained indifferent and authentic. Next, it's second. As everyone knows, Akatsuki's plan. So far, half of it has been achieved. The preparation of money and the recruitment of members are drawing to an end. Therefore, next, we have to complete the end of this step of the plan, and the beginning of the next plan. Speaking of which, Pain's indifferent gaze swept all the members, and then he said solemnly. That is, the recruitment of the 9th, Hidan, and about the plunder of 9 Tails Jinchuriki in Konaha village, Land of Fire. The voice fell, everyone's eyes condensed immediately. And this side, as Konaha's mission impossible. After hearing this, Uchiha Itachi's heart suddenly jumped. What? What happened? Akatsuki attacked Konaha's Jinchuriki unexpectedly. Started so soon? Chapter 164 Actor vs. Actor, the showdown between Itachi and Ching Yu, seeking subscription, ===. Advertisement. Pain's voice fell. The audience fell into silence for a while. There was silence, everyone was naturally thinking. And Uchiha Itachi, although his expression does not seem to have changed in particular. In mind, it's already a stormy sea, he did not expect at all. The arrest of 9 Tails Jinchuriki will be executed by Pain first. Logically speaking, the most troublesome 9 Tails, shouldn't it be the last solution? Could it be that these are related to Ching Yu's mission not long ago? Aware of this, Itachi's solemn gaze immediately glanced at Ching Yu in the distance imperceptibly. But, however, Ching Yu's face was still completely flat, without a trace of fluctuation. However, even so, Itachi still involuntarily recalled the past in his heart. Just when he and Kisame took over the task, then he once approached Ching Yu and went to ask what his special mission was. Result, Ching Yu replied, subvert Konaha, then. Itachi naturally didn't believe it at all. After all, Konaha, as one of the strongest giants in the ninja world, is incomparable with the weak Tsunade. Subversion is not something that can be done so easily. At least, Itachi believes, at present, with the strength of Ching Yu alone, it should be impossible to do this. But now, after Ching Yu's mission returned, Pain suddenly came directly with such a sentence. It is hard for people not to doubt whether something is going on in Konaha. Thought of here, Itachi decided to try it out first. His heart sank slightly. Instead, he began to play his acting skills, looked at Pain indifferently, and said calmly. Pen, Konaha's strength has always been strong. 9 Tails Jinchuriki, it seems not suitable to be the first one to deal with. If this time, if they become defensive against us, in the future, it seems that other Jinchuriki captures in Shinin village will also become tricky. When these words came out, everyone suddenly looked different. Ching Yu's 900 eyes flickered slightly. I couldn't help but move lightly in my heart. Gee, Uchiha Itachi, the actor, doesn't seem to be too calm. As soon as the topic touched on Konaha, his mentality seemed to start to show some signs of uncontrollable. However, even if I realized this, Ching Yu's face remained unchanged. After all, there is no need for him to dismantle in this situation. And others, naturally, it is impossible to know what Itachi thought. Until a moment later, Pain responded with the same expressionless indifferent. Don't worry about that. Ching Yu visited Konaha once in the name of taking the Chunin exam some time ago. And based on the information he brought back, because Orochimaru pretended to be Tsunade Fourth Kazekage and launched a subversive war against Konaha, now Konaha's third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is dead. Konaha is falling into the situation where there is no leader among the dragons. Plus, Ching Yu has already got all the detailed information of 9 Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. Therefore, there is no need to continue worrying about Konaha's power. Capture 9 Tails first, it's not a problem to take down the other tail beasts in one breath. Pain's eyes were indifferent, he spoke in a firm tone without hesitation. The leader's temperament is fully demonstrated, however. After listening to this, Uchiha Itachi froze directly. Although his face seemed calm, his eyes suddenly shook involuntarily. In what Pain just said, the huge amount of information immediately made him stunned. Varied. What's the situation? Rebellion Orochimaru invaded Konaha? Advertisement. Did you pretend to be Fourth Kazekage and wage a subversive war against Konaha? Besides, the invincible third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, dead? In an instant, Uchiha Itachi's thoughts were completely interrupted, and his brain was almost blank. I just went to do a task. Konaha actually happened this kind of upside-down situation? And, it happened during the period when Ching Yu went to Konaha. Itachi's eyes gleamed slightly, at the beginning. What Ching Yu said about subverting Konaha, is it really just a joke? Or, read more at mtlarchive.com. This time Orochimaru disguised the wind and shadow incident, he also participated in it. These hidden things, by now, it was naturally impossible for Itachi to know. It is impossible to ask Ching Yu. After all, if you ask, you will be doubted. In other words, now, I can only give it a default first and think of a way to talk. Aware of this, Itachi finally condensed his mind and slowly closed his eyes, pretending to be calm and quiet. Understood. Now that Pen has already talked about the plan to this point. If he continues to question, that's silly. Right now, the most important thing is how to subtly destroy the tail beast capture plan this time, and I have to find a way to pass the information to Konaha. Itachi's face was calm, he thought very fast in his mind. And after hearing this answer, Pain naturally didn't think much about it. He turned his eyes back, looked forward again, and said faintly. As I just said, this time, we have to complete 2 plans at the same time. The first is to go to Konaha village and capture 9 tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. The second is to recruit the 9th person to Akatsuki. Tangian village rebels and Hidan, a member of the Cthulhu cult, prepares for the extraction of the tail beast. Based on the current situation, I have set the personnel assignment for this task for the time being. Speaking of which, Pain paused slightly. Everyone's minds suddenly condensed, and they all concentrated. Pain looked calm and indifferent. The capture of 9 tails Jinchuriki. Ching Yu, Deidara team, and absolutely 3 will be responsible for it. Hidan's recruitment, it will be the responsibility of Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame, and Kakuzu. Any objection? As soon as the voice fell. After a while, everyone's expressions were different. For Deidara, I was lucky enough to participate in the capture of Jinchuriki when I first joined, so I was naturally very excited. However, Ching Yu on the side moved slightly. I couldn't help but feel helpless. What's the situation? Here again, I just came back from Konaha, and asked me to go back to catch 9 tails Jinchuriki? Isn't that so? Pain trusts me a little too much, right? And at this time, Kakuzu and Kisami's faces were calm after all, and they said one after another. Understood. No objection. Those who didn't make a clear statement left, of course, only the 2 of Ju and Uchiha Itachi were left. If you absolutely must, it goes without saying, he is a brick in Akatsuki's organization, and move it wherever it is needed. The point is, the remaining Uchiha Itachi. Pain looked at the ferret here, indifferently. Think about it, 1,007, the voice fell. Itachi slowly withdrew his mind from his thoughts. Immediately, he glanced at Ching Yu and Deidara over there without any wave of his face, and then faintly opened his mouth. I have objections. Advertisement, I think the Ching Yu and Deidara team are not suitable for this 9 tails capture mission. Quote. As soon as the voice fell, Pain was taken aback subconsciously. Bag to support? At this time, Hoshigaki Kisame and others on the side were naturally stunned. Actually, really disagree? And after hearing this, the one who reacted the most was naturally Deidara in the distance. His face suddenly became gloomy, and he spoke loudly with a bit of annoyance. Hey, that red-eyed guy, what are you talking about? Are you questioning the strength of Senior Ching Yu and me? Obviously it was just catching a tailed beast Jinchuriki, right? For us, it's easy, right? At this moment, naturally, he didn't know the strength of Itachi, so he clamored very aggressively. The voice fell. Pain suddenly lowered his eyes slightly, indifferently. Deidara, be quiet. This is Akatsuki's plenary meeting. Everyone has the right to express their opinions. Talking, Pain looked at Itachi again and said lightly. Itachi, tell me, why don't you approve of them going? Could it be? Do you not trust Ching Yu's strength? Pain asked lightly, the reason why he worked with Konan to develop this grouping. There is no other reason, it's simply because Ching Yu is too strong. He is so strong that he doesn't need to be questioned anymore, and he can even directly hand over 9 tails Jinchuriki to him for single capture. Handing it over to him is completely the safest way to do so. But he didn't expect Itachi, who has always been reticent, would actually raise objections. After hearing what Pain said, Itachi's expression did not change, his eyes were still hanging slightly, and he said calmly. Senior Ching Yu's strength, of course I will not question it. I have witnessed the power of Sand Shinobi alone, so if he wants to capture 9 tails Jinchuriki, it might not be a problem. But, you may have overlooked one point. Everyone looked slightly surprised. Itachi raised his eyes and stared at Ching Yu, who was indifferent in front of him, and said calmly. Before this, whether Ching Yu went to Sand Shinobi or Konaha, he went as a Rain Shinobi ninja. And this time, if he suddenly went to capture 9 tails as Akatsuki. Isn't it directly equivalent to telling Konaha? Akatsuki, is it Rain Shinobi? Afterwards, if Konaha learns that other shinobi tail beasts are being spotted, then they will definitely choose to join other shinobi villages to attack Rain Shinobi and Akatsuki. Presumably, this result, isn't it what we wanted? Itachi's expression was indifferent, and he stated lightly. As soon as the voice fell, suddenly, everyone's hearts suddenly moved. Deidara, who was just arrogant, was speechless in an instant after listening to it. After all, what Uchiha Itachi said, so, it seems to be a bit reasonable. When the tail beasts are not all gathered, if Akatsuki's base was exposed directly, wouldn't it be a break? In an instant, the audience was silent, and there was no sound. Now, even Ching Yu, who had always been indifferent, couldn't help but raised his eyebrows slightly after hearing this, feeling a little surprised in his heart. Until a moment later, Pain's eyes fell slightly, frowned slightly, looked at Uchiha Itachi, and said quietly. So what do you mean? Itachi lifted his eyes slightly. His face was indifferent, and Sharingan flickered slowly in the dark. In an extremely calm tone, he spoke lightly, let me go. Konaha's 9 tails Jinchuriki, leave it to. I will capture it. Chapter 165 No one knows Konaha better than me. For subscription, ===. Advertisement Uchiha Itachi's voice fell, the audience was silent. Whether it was Deidara and Pain, or Kakuzu and Kisame on the side, they were all stunned. No one wants it, he actually just vetoed Ching Yu's plan to go, and even directly began to recommend himself. As Konaha's rebel, this time he actually chose to catch 9 tails himself? For this, Pain and others are naturally stunned for a while. The audience fell into a slight silence, however. There was only Ching Yu on the side, but his expression was still indifferent. Even a light smile appeared in his eyes, that's right. Of course he had expected this a long time ago, in fact. Since Pain just mentioned the assignment of tasks. Ching Yu has already begun to notice Uchiha Itachi's subtle emotions. Although as the actor, his facial expression management is at the master level, and there seems to be no change. He always seemed to have a sullen face, unmoved, however. When Penty was in charge of capturing 9 tails by Ching Yu and Deidara. His breathing was at that moment, it stopped for a second. For others, this may be difficult to detect, but for Ching Yu, who covered the audience with Ryatsu's perception, it was like 100 times magnification. And then, when Itachi began to formally raise his objections to Pain. Of course, Ching Yu was more convinced of his speculation. This guy, it was not because of the reason that Ching Yu will expose Akatsuki's base in Rain Shinobi, to object. The reason why he really wants to oppose this plan. Just because he was scared, he was afraid that Konaha's 9 tails would really be captured. I was afraid that the Konaha village I wanted to protect was caught in the war due to this tail beast capture plan. So, of course he was going to stop it, but what Ching Yu didn't expect was. Uchiha Itachi is indeed an excellent spy. The reason for his opposition can be so sober and refined, even, the logic is perfect. If we assume, if Pain, who assigned the task, is on the first floor, then Deidara should be in the basement. And this time, Itachi's thinking, it has clearly entered the atmosphere. Even Ching Yu, I have to sigh, this reason is indeed impeccable. And next, it depends on whether he can persuade Pain to let himself go. Thought of here, Ching Yu raised his eyes slightly, retracted his thoughts, and continued to look calmly. At this time, after a moment of silence, Pain frowned slightly and said. You said, you want to go by yourself? Yes. Itachi answered almost without hesitation. His pair of Sharingan mirror Shisui, as if not guilty of conscience, stared at Pain calmly, and said indifferently. As the rebel who came out as Konaha, I can say responsibly that among all Akatsuki members present, no one knows Konaha better than me. Advertisement, there will be no ninjas who know Konaha better than me. Even senior Ching Yu who is good at fighting, if it's in Konaha, it doesn't necessarily seem more like a fish than me. Because, in my hands, I hold a large part of the information of Konaha Shinobi. So I also have confidence, faced with almost any obstacle from Konaha Shinobi. At last, successfully captured 9 tails Jinchuriki. Uchiha Itachi's face was like an iceberg, speaking without emotion. The voice fell. Everyone couldn't help but stunned again. Read more at mtlarchive.com. This, not to mention, this, really makes sense. Uchiha Itachi, after all, he was a member of Konaha Anbu who once slaughtered the entire Uchiha clan by himself. In terms of understanding Konaha, indeed, no one can compare him. After hearing this, Pain's gaze moved slightly, and he looked at Konan aside without a trace. However, Konan's expression remained unchanged. After thinking for a moment, he just nodded slightly. Pain suddenly understood. Then, he raised his eyes again and looked around at everyone, indifferently. What do you think? In fact, hearing this, he has been successfully persuaded by Uchiha Itachi. But, naturally, it is necessary to ask other people's opinions regularly. And after the voice fell, unexpectedly, the first person to speak was Kisame beside Itachi. I saw him grinning slightly, with a slight smile on his face, and said. I have no opinion. I have witnessed the strength of Itachi-san with my own eyes. If our team were to capture 9 tails Jinchuriki, plus his familiarity with Konaha, there should be no mistake. Kisame's eyes flickered and said. Words fall. Kakuzu on the side also looked indifferent and calmly said. It doesn't matter. For me, it's the same for everyone. Pain's gaze then turned to Deidara and Ching Yu on that side. But see, Deidara's complexion still seems to be a little uncomfortable, but since Ching Yu beside him hasn't expressed his opinion, he just poked his mouth and said impatiently. Let me listen to senior Ching Yu. Although he really wants to go to Konaha to play, by the way, show his art to the people there. But Itachi's reason is indeed relatively unassailable, and he has nothing to refute. And this way, in the end, Ching Yu was the only one who expressed his opinion. Pen's eyes dazzled slightly, and he looked at Ching Yu. However, unexpectedly, at this moment, Ching Yu showed a faint smile on his face, and said with a leisurely smile. I do not mind. Since Itachi wants to perform, of course I don't mind giving him the opportunity. As soon as the voice fell, everyone naturally knew that he also supported the journey by Itachi. However, only Itachi who heard this, his face was a bit wrong. Because, Ching Yu used the word, performance, advertisement. Itachi, who was a spy, was a little bit uncomfortable. After all, the kind of attitude I just showed is indeed a performance. Ask for flowers. The meeting ended soon. The final mission plan was almost just swapped. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame went to Konaha to be responsible for capturing 9 tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto, while Ju was responsible for responding to their intelligence. The Ching Yu and Deidara teams, together with Kakuzu, are responsible for the recruitment of the 9th person in the Akatsuki organization. When I saw this unclear information in my hand, Deidara suddenly became puzzled, and waved with the information in his hand somewhat dissatisfied, and said. Hello. What's the meaning? The location of this guy named Hidan hasn't been determined yet. Hearing this, Konan over there turned around and responded indifferently. Information is currently scarce, however, we have already confirmed that he is a faithful believer of that Cthulhu. And recently, there are 3 places where the Cthulhu cult is exposed. One is in the territory of Yuno country, and the other 2 are in the country of fire. This requires you to come and find it, clam. 00 Deidara suddenly showed a weird look. However, after saying this, Konan stopped paying attention to him. He turned around indifferently, turned into a piece of paper, and flew away directly. For Deidara, a kid who has a bad temper and loves BB very much, if it weren't for Ching Yu's sake, she wouldn't have wanted to take care of it a long time ago. And just after Konan left, the rest here. There are only Ching Yu, Kakuzu and Deidara. As for Itachi, Kisame and others, naturally they have already left. Prepare yourself for the mission. Kakuzu looked at Deidara here indifferently and said in a low voice. Since there are 3 places, then we'll just split up and act separately. I will go to Tangian village. There happens to be a good mercenary mission, and maybe I can get a good bounty. The other 2 places, leave it to you, finished. Kakuzu turned around and walked outside, clean and neat. On the one hand, of course he didn't want to team up with Deidara, the noisy guy. On the other hand, he didn't want to act with Ching Yu either. Old enemy. Seeing Kakuzu leave, Ching Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Worthy of being the #1 moneymaker. Facing mercenary missions, I am really active in my work. After a while, Ching Yu's gaze only then began to carefully look at the intelligence map in his hand. He just didn't seriously study the place where this so-called Cthulhu appeared. However, looking at it now, he was stunned for a moment. Short Book Street, how does this place name sound familiar? Chapter 166 From now on, let the world feel pain, please subscribe, ===. Advertisement Short Book Street, a gambling mecca in the land of fire. It is well known in the entire ninja world for its extremely developed gambling industry. Gambling and entertainment venues of various sizes run through it, and coupled with the developed tavern industry, it has become a place for countless gamblers to linger. It's awesome, it can be called the #1 gambling city in the ninja world. Seeing this place marked on the map, Ching Yu suddenly became a little bit dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, the Cthulhu cult would have appeared here. Is it to preach to the gamblers? It is outrageous. But, the reason why Ching Yu knows the Short Book Street, of course, is not because it is a gambling mecca. As the light of the righteous way of the ninja world, he will not do gambling and drugs. But because, here, in the original work, it is the location of a famous scene. That is, the bet between Tsunade and Naruto, in the original work. Due to the Chunin exam crisis and the death of Konoha's third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya was naturally pushed to the position of 5th Hokage's successor. However, he was not willing to bear the name of Hokage. Then, in order to find a suitable Naruto successor for Konoha, Jiraiya took Naruto and went to find his old acquaintance. The princess of the Senju clan, Tsunade. She is also one of Konoha's Sannin and inherited Senju's fine blood. In terms of strength, she is naturally unquestionably high enough to inherit the name of 5th generation. However, she left Konoha because she avoided the past. Tsunade is a very good bet. However, her gambling luck is very poor, and 10 bets and 9 losses are not enough to describe her level. She almost lost every bet. Even, she was also given the nickname, the legendary Big Sheep, by everyone. That is, waiting for others to kill, but even so. Her hobby of gambling has not diminished in the slightest. Knowing this, Jiraiya used this clue to come to the Short Book Street of the gambling mecca and, successfully here, met Tsunade. And then, under Naruto's mouth, Tsunade entered into a gambling agreement with Naruto. Certainly, these are all things to do. At this time, what really made Ching Yu interested in here? Naturally because, on Tsunade, there are a series of side missions to complete. If you go to Short Book Street this time and you can meet Tsunade, it seems that you will be able to complete all the side tasks that have been shelved. You can also find Hidan's trail by the way, and it will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. No matter how you count it, this is an uncompensable transaction. Advertisement thought of here, a faint smile appeared in the corner of Ching Yu's mouth involuntarily. And aside, Deidara, who saw this picture, was naturally a little puzzled and surprised. Senior, what do you think? Words fall, Ching Yu recovered, looked over, shook his head with a chuckle, and said. Nothing. Read more at mtlarchive.com, subsequently. He raised the intelligence map in his hand again, shook it, and said casually. As Kakuzu said, since there are 3 places marked on the mission this time, let's find them separately to improve efficiency. I'm going to this Short Book Street, you can go to Unua City next to it. Deidara was taken aback for a moment, and frowned. Far Moon City? I haven't heard of it, but it seems troublesome to look at the name. Words fall, Ching Yu turned Byakugan and said lightly. Isolate and ignorant. This Far Moon City is a gathering place for gourmet food in the land of fire. There is also a gourmet academy that is among the best in the world. It is said that the dishes they make may become addictive after eating. Do you have such food in Rock Shinobi? A long passage of Ching Yu's words made Deidara stunned. He is in Rock Shinobi, indeed, since I was young, I haven't eaten anything good. Even the term food is a bit strange. Listen to what Ching Yu said. For some reason, he is still a little eager to try. After a while, then he put on a face reluctantly and said. Okay, no way, then I will go here. Ching Yu suddenly chuckled in his heart. This guy, chances are that it will be really fragrant. Time goes by, came to the twilight moment. The Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi teams set off as members of the first wave, aiming to go straight to Konaha village, the country of fire. In Kisami's heart, naturally, he was rushing to do big things. After all, he was called the tailless beast. He had long wanted to try PK with the real tail beast. However, he did not know, Uchiha Itachi, with a calm face on the side, was repeatedly beating the drums in his heart. He was thinking at high speed, how to play Kisame wave. How can I not only send information to Konaha, but also make myself retreat from this mission without being exposed, and still ensure that Ninetales fails to capture? The collection of multiple tasks, even for Itachi, is by far the biggest challenge. Advertisement. Although he has always been good at releasing water. But, at the moment when Third Kazekage died, those people in Konaha. It seems that the water is not enough, you need to release the sea to barely make a few hands. But, what if Kisame sees it? In the sunset, Sharingan of Uchiha Itachi flashes. This task, it was an anxiety he had never had before. After Itachi and Kisame left. In the second wave, the team responsible for recruiting the 9th person of Akatsuki, Hidan, of course also set off. But, they did not start together. Kakuzu didn't want to go with Ching Yu and Deidara, so he slipped away alone. And Deidara and Ching Yu, after entering the country of fire, he plans to start separate operations. And before they set off, of course, Pain had probably introduced Hidan's information to them. It is said that he also has some kind of immortal power, which is still very dangerous. Therefore, no matter who finds his trace first, he must first contact Tiandao Pain, and then he will contact the other 2 members to be responsible for support. Finally, the 3 of them successfully recruited Hidan and brought him back. Although troublesome, however, it is stable enough. Therefore, of course the 3 of them would not have any opinions. When night falls, the 3 of them also left Rain Shinobi completely and ran to Tangying village and Fire Country respectively. As the moon rises, dark clouds once again shrouded in the sky above Rain Shinobi village. The humidity of the air gradually increases. Without the support of Pain's power, Nimbus finally gathered in the sky above Rain Shinobi village again 3.7 times. Subsequently, the dull air quickly aggravated. Finally, the rain is still coming down. At first it was like a thin needle, little bit. After only a few minutes, it immediately turned into pouring rain, slapped on the iron buildings of Rain Shinobi village. The solemn atmosphere re-shrouded Rain Shinobi village. Tiandao Pain stood in the tower, staring into the darkness in the distance, with an indifferent expression, he said coldly. From now on, let the world feel the pain. Chapter 167 It's worthy of 1,007, awesome, for subscription, ===. Advertisement time goes by. 2 days later, Country of Fire, outside Konaha village. Several Akatsuki's groups who had separated from Rain Shinobi village also arrived at the mission location. At this time, on a lush high mountain, Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame have successfully arrived here. Gazing at the vast circular village not far below. The 2 have different faces. Hoshigaki Kisame grinned slightly and chuckled softly. Well, although I have heard of it, today, it is the first time to really overlook the whole picture. Is this the Konaha village where Itachi-san was born? It looks like it's a lot bigger than Mist Shinobi. He deserves to be the overlord of the ninja world back then. Kisame grinned, and said with emotion, however, still speaking. In his tone, there was no respect or reverence at all. On the contrary, it was a bit embarrassing, he seems. Feeling about the fall of the former overlord, and at this time. Uchiha Itachi on the side of course also heard these feelings. But, his face remained calm, his eyes lightened. He just stared down, say nothing. This village, once upon a time, it was also the place he relied on most. However, since the night of genocide a few years ago, in order to monitor Akatsuki at all times, and to avoid 25 suspicions, he has never returned here. And now, it was the first time after that night. Looking at the old direction of the Uchiha mansion in the distance, Uchiha Itachi's eyes finally showed a slight wave. His gaze turned to Konaha's residential area, he knows. This is where Sasuke lives today. Back then, after Uchiha's genocide, the Uchiha residence would also be completely banned. And according to Sarutobi Hiruzen's promise, he will let Sasuke grow up here safely. Have no idea, Sasuke now. How is it going? Uchiha Itachi lowered his eyes slightly, and his heart was extremely complicated. This time he chose to come to Konaha to perform the task in person. In addition to wanting to disrupt Akatsuki's Nine Tails capture plan, of course, I also want to take the opportunity to see how his Odudu lives. But at this moment, Kisame on the side suddenly made a weird noise. What? Hearing this sound, Itachi returned to his senses, then looked over indifferently, and said. What happened? The voice fell, but when I saw Kisame squinted his eyes slightly, looking in a direction in the distance, he slowly said in a puzzled manner. Strange. Before I came, I heard. Konaha village has a landmark building called Naruto Rock, with statues of Naruto in the past. Is it possible? Is it that? Talking, Kisame raised his hand and pointed to a building in the distance. Itachi's gaze naturally followed along, however. Advertisement at this look, he was taken aback, And many more. What's going on? Naruto is actually refinishing the carving. So, what happened to the surrounding ruins? Could it be that Naruto Rock collapsed not long ago? Realizing this, Itachi's heart suddenly shrank. Before that, read more at mtlarchive.com. His eyes have been paying attention to the direction of the Uchiha mansion and the residential building, and he hasn't noticed such a change in Hokage Rock. To get in touch with what I heard from Pain before. Could it be that these are also caused by Orochimaru? Itachi's eyes flickered slightly, can't be sure for now. After all, in this Chunin exam chaos, there's an unstable factor named Ching Yu. As long as he is there, anything can happen. After a moment of silence, Itachi lifted his eyes and said indifferently, let's go. Put on a cloak to cover it a little, then go in. Talking, Itachi took out the hat and cloak that had been prepared for realization, gave one to Kisame, and took the other with him. Seeing this, Kisame suddenly became surprised and grinned while taking the cloak. Oh, I heard that Konaha has an enchantment that can fully detect the aura of the intruder. Does it really work if we just put on a cloak like this, Itachi-san? The voice fell, Itachi didn't even look at it and said indifferently. I know the technique of this enchantment very well. So, I also have a way to avoid its detection. Stop talking nonsense, let's go. Talking, Itachi jumped forward. Seeing this, Kisame was taken aback for a moment, then his eyes flickered. Chuckled and muttered to himself, tisk tut, it seems to be very decisive. After all, he immediately put on the same cloak. Leaping forward, he chased it towards the front. After a while, the two easily blended into Konaha's interior. Walking swaggeringly on the commercial street, Kisame lowered his voice and said with a smile. It's really you, Itachi-san. Sure enough, it was not discovered. Then now, how do we find Nine Tails Jinchuriki? As an honest person, of course he was still thinking about his mission to Konaha this time. However, hearing this, Itachi frowned without showing a trace, and said. Do not worry. Let's go to a place to eavesdrop on Konaha's information for now. Avoid throwing grass and frightening snakes. Let's go. With that said, Itachi quickened his pace and led Kisame to a ramen restaurant. Kisami's gaze suddenly became weird. Advertisement. What happened? Speaking of curiously eavesdropping on Konaha's intelligence, how come to the ramen restaurant? However, at this moment, he is naturally not good to ask questions. I had no choice but to follow Itachi, found a corner behind the curtain next to it, and sat down. The two pretended to eat the noodles. Although the owner of the noodle shop was surprised by the appearance of the two of them, he didn't ask much. After all, there have been a lot of people coming to Konaha trading recently, so it's not surprising to put on a hat. And just after a while, two people walked over slowly, and then they sat in the noodle restaurant and ordered 2 pieces of noodles. One of them was wearing a black mask, the forehead protector tilted down to block his left eye, his silver hair was very eye-catching, and his eyes were very lazy. It is the famous copy of the ninja in the Ninja World, who possesses the Kazi brother, the chakra unit, Hitaki Kakashi, who can reach Otsutsuki Kagaya from Peach Ground to Otsutsuki Kagaya. And walking beside him is also a Jonin. However, compared to the slender Kakashi, he is very strong, with a healthy brown skin, a cigarette in his mouth, and a big bearded man. He is the second generation of Konaha's first official, the man who was madly blacked by countless fan authors and the protagonist of countless harem novels, the lover of Yurihome, Sarutobi Isuma, the first bitter lord of Konaha. Now, the two were chatting casually, did not notice Itachi and Kisame disguised in the corner. The one who spoke first was Isuma. He took down the cigarette from his mouth, squeezed it out, and said casually. Kakashi, your student, Uzumaki Naruto, how is it now? As soon as the voice fell, there was a pause. Itachi and Kisame here were taken aback at the same time. Damn it. What a coincidence. F***CK just came in, the first sentence asked the point. Kisame suddenly looked at the Itachi who was aside, revealing a shocked look of shock 903. It's worthy of a dozen. It seemed that I found a noodle restaurant casually, but, just after sitting for a minute, I heard the most important information. Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto, however, what he didn't know was. The ferret on the side was naturally even more daunted. Isn't this 2-inch? Asuma, can't you just talk about irrelevant? Just come up and fix this? Under the hat, Itachi suddenly changed his expression slightly. Continue to listen carefully. At this time, Kakashi over there showed a wry smile, shook his head and said. Well, of course it's better than before. At the very least, it's not like before, reluctantly clamoring to go out and retrieve Sasuke. I have also begun to concentrate on the practice of ninjutsu. Heard that, Asuma nodded and chuckled helplessly. Ah, that's good. That guy, finally calmed down a little bit. Although Uchiha Sasuke was taken away by Orochimaru this time, for the time being, there shouldn't be any risk to his life. It's more important for Naruto to hurry up and practice. Asuma sighed softly, however, what he didn't know was. Just when he finished saying, Sasuke was taken away by Orochimaru. Behind, in the corner, under Uchiha Itachi's hat, his pupils shrank suddenly. Frozen directly. Chapter 168 It's not a good idea to hit people with the ball. Please subscribe. Advertisement varied. What's the situation? Sasuke was actually taken away by Orochimaru? Heard this news, in an instant, Itachi was like a bolt from the blue, his mind was blank on the spot. Under the hat, his pupils shrank suddenly and his breathing stopped. In the beginning, when Asuma mentioned Naruto, he thought he was just talking about the teenager of Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Even, I hope in my heart that they will not reveal too much information, so as not to be heard by Kisame. But, from the next, Kakashi's words, Itachi became more and more awkward. Naruto wants to bring Sasuke back. What's the meaning? Could it be that Sasuke is no longer in Konaha? But, before he could think through this question clearly. Next, Asuma bluntly told the facts. Sasuke, it turned out to be, kidnapped. Is this special? Unprecedented mutation. In just a few seconds, Uchiha Itachi's previous mental preparations were all broken. His expression froze directly at this moment. However, Kisame on the side showed a weird expression. Uchiha Sasuke. What's the matter with this name? Didn't the Uchiha clan have been slaughtered by Itachi a few years ago? There are still survivors. Aware of this, Kisame naturally wanted to ask Itachi. However, he certainly knew that this is not the best time. Then, I can only suppress the doubts in my heart and listen carefully again. Due to over-focusing on the eavesdropping of intelligence. Now, he didn't even notice that the expression of Uchiha Itachi next to him was wrong. And at this time, this side, a girl came over with 2 bowls of noodles, gently placed them in front of Kakashi and Asuma, and smiled. Please enjoy. She is the daughter of the handmaid master, Changpu, who runs this Yilei ramen with her father. Upon hearing this, Asuma on the side suddenly chuckled and said, "Ah, thank you, then I'll start." However, Kakashi on the side seemed unmoved, looking somewhere. At this time, the Calamus on the side seemed to have noticed something wrong with Kakashi, and said in doubt, "Kakashi-san, are you still thinking about Sasuke?" "Ah, no." Hearing this, Kakashi came back to his senses, then shook his head and smiled helplessly. "Even if you worry again, I can't find Orochimaru for the time being. I can't even think about it. I was just thinking. Naruto, I don't know if I can learn from Master Jiraiya," Kakashi said with a slight headache. However, as soon as the voice fell, Changpu Duntime showed shocked eyes, widened his eyes, and said, "Wow, no way? Naruto, he actually followed the legendary Toad Sage Jiraiya to practice." So you don't know yet?" Kakashi smiled helplessly. "The day before yesterday, I wanted Ebisu to teach Naruto the basic chakra practice. But, unexpectedly, they happened to meet Master Jiraiya at the place of practice. Afterwards, for unknown reasons, Ebisu entrusted Naruto directly to Master Jiraiya to teach." Kakashi explained. Advertisement to Calamus on the opposite side blinked suddenly. For her, Jiraiya, this name has always been a legend. But Naruto is just a customer in this small shop, a naughty kid in the village. So when I heard it, of course I was a little shocked. However, at this moment, Asuma on the side put down the chopsticks in his hand, looked at Kakashi, and chuckled lightly. "Relax, Kakashi. Master Jiraiya is the legendary Sannin, and all aspects of strength are above you and me. Since Naruto wants to become stronger, he can definitely learn something from him," Asuma said confidently. Hearing that, Kakashi had to close his eyes slightly and said helplessly, "I hope so." Their conversation was going on flatly. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The topic I'm talking about is also a topic I usually touch on. However, what they didn't expect was, after hearing this, on the other side of the curtain, Itachi and Kisame were stunned at the same time. What's going on with this TM? That Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto is practicing with Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas? At this moment, let alone Itachi. Even Hoshigaki Kisame, who was on the side, looked slightly stagnant. The name of Jiraiya, he could not have heard of it. Although Mist Shinobi has been shut in the country for many years. However, if you want to mention Sannin, you won't be sleepy. After all, these are the 3 powerhouses who became famous during the Second Ninja World War, and they once existed as Konaha's mainstays. Among the young generation, the scenery overwhelmed the entire ninja world. No one knows it. Did not expect, although Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is dead. It seems that a very tricky guy has appeared. Kisami's eyes gleamed slightly. His purpose is very simple, that is to defeat Uzumaki Naruto, who is Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and bring back Rain Shinobi. But now, according to Kakashi and others, since Naruto is following Jiraiya's practice, that means, if they want to take away Naruto, they have to fight against the Sannin Jiraiya. Aware of this, Kisame looked at the Itachi who was aside. But at this moment, Itachi's face also had a solemn expression. Kisame was taken aback for a moment, then his heart sank. No surprise, even a genius ninja like Uchiha Itachi, facing the prestige of Sannin, would he still be afraid of 3 points? However, he thought so, but didn't know. Now, in Itachi's heart, not only was there no fear, but rejoiced. Because, he began to get the most important piece of information about this trip, that is, Jiraiya, beside Naruto. Thus, it seems that after that, there is no need to release the water too obviously. In the game against Jiraiya's colleagues, you can successfully interrupt this tail beast capture plan. Itachi narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking at high speed in his heart. Before coming, he was afraid that Konaha's ninjas were too weak and could not hold back his release of water. But now it seems, with Jiraiya sitting in battle, there is no need to worry at all. Even if it is defeated by such a person, there will be no flaws at all. If you go back like this, there must be nothing to say about pain. After all, the one who protects Jinchuriki, but the famous Sannin Jiraiya. If you lose to him, not ashamed, it is also normal. Advertisement thought of here, in Itachi's heart, the water release plan was slowly taking shape. He has decided, in the ensuing battle, Akatsuki's plan information must be revealed to Jiraiya ingeniously. In this way, it may prevent Naruto from being captured, and it will also make Konaha start to be more vigilant towards Akatsuki. And now, more headache is, Sasuke was taken away by Orochimaru. In other words, while interrupting the tail beast capture plan, we must also find a way. Investigate the whereabouts of Orochimaru. Itachi's eyes gleamed slightly. Next moment, he looked at Kisame who was aside, and made a suggestive expression. Kisame came over immediately. Base. The two completed the seal without a trace, and disappeared into the corner with a high-speed instant technique. Only 2 bowls of unfinished noodles were left on the table. Do not know why, Kakashi subconsciously turned his head and looked in that direction. Immediately afterwards, frowned. And many more. There were 2 diners wearing hats there just now. This is gone. Something is not right. Kakashi's eyes flickered slightly. He decides, go to see the situation. 2 flowers bloom, 1 on each table. At the same time Itachi and Kisame were planning to capture the tail beast. On the other side of the moment, Fire Country, in a street market outside Konaha village. Ching Yu also came to this gambling sacred place, Short Book Street, because of investigating the traces of the evil god Hidan. The moment I came here, Ching Yu's Reiatsu sensed, and immediately walked towards the entire street. Base. In an instant, every corner of the street, like a transparent 3D stereo modeling, is clearly displayed in front of Ching Yu's eyes. Since Reiatsu's promotion, Ching Yu's perception ability can cover the entire Rain Shinobi village. Naturally, this small gambling street is not a problem. And just after a while, he immediately noticed a special character. Then, a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Found it. Words fall, he withdrew his gaze, then looked at a certain tavern in front of him and walked towards it. The person he found was certainly not the Hidan. After a while, he came to the door of the tavern. However, just as he was about to step forward, suddenly, a slender figure staggered and quickly walked out from it, and at the corner of the door, he directly collided with Ching Yu. Bang! The speed of this figure came very fast, and it slammed into Ching Yu's chest. Unexpectedly, Ching Yu, who appears to be thin, still stands tall after being hit. The drunk yellow-haired woman on the opposite side was pushed by the reaction force, and took a few steps back and almost fell. A girl's shocked voice suddenly heard behind her, and she spoke almost instantly. Ah, Tsunade-sama, are you okay? And at the moment, the drunk yellow-haired woman raised her head inconceivably and looked towards Ching Yu, her eyes confused. What's the situation? When did this guy appear? The classic. At this time, Ching Yu raised his eyebrows and looked over, amused. Hey, it's not a good idea to hit people with the ball. Chapter 169 Big Exaggerated Chest Muscles, Tsunade's Capital, Subscription Required, ===. Advertisement. As soon as Ching Yu's voice fell, the Tsunade on the opposite side was taken aback for a moment and stopped. Dribbling and hitting people. What's the meaning? I just bumped into. However, before she could think carefully, a black-haired girl behind him ran over immediately and held Tsunade in his arms, worrying. Master Tsunade, are you okay? She just saw that the drunk Tsunade was knocked back, and she subconsciously uttered a voice. And the words fall. Tsunade then looked at the girl, shook his head slightly, and said, It's okay, Shizune. This girl, of course it was her disciple, Kato-tan's niece, Shizune. And at the moment, she was holding Tsunade, but she couldn't help looking at Ching Yu ahead, revealing a look of surprise. Just like Tsunade, he was equally bewildered by this person's sudden appearance. This person, when did he arrive here? Obviously before. Did not feel any breath appear. And, after the two collided, not only did Tsunade-sama retreat, but he didn't even move? Even if it contains drunkenness, but Tsunade-sama has never seen such a staggering situation before. Aware of this, Shizune naturally noticed something was wrong, and 903 frowned without showing a trace. I was very surprised, and at this time, even she realized it. Of course Tsunade couldn't fail to find it. The drunken look on her face remained, but she raised her eyes slightly, looking at Ching Yu in front of him, and said, Hey, little guy. Who are you? Obviously, the body looks slender, but is it so strong? What she meant by sturdy, of course, was at the level of strength. However, after hearing this, Ching Yu just raised his eyebrows slightly. He didn't expect Tsunade's first sentence turned out to be asking this. But, of course he will not reveal his identity. After all, the reason why he came here was just to complete the side tasks in the system. Side mission, encountered a Konaha-san in Tsunade's strange power attack, 0/1, unfinished, unknown reward. A pure power duel with Tsunade, 0/1, unfinished, the reward is unknown. Lost to Tsunade, 0/1, in irregular gambling, unfinished, the reward is unknown. Advertisement. Seeing these 3 series of tasks, Ching Yu almost laughed at the time. Needless to say, the first branch line. It is a very conventional, insight, task, like seeing Mangekyo, seeing Kamui, and seeing 8 inner gates. As long as you have experienced it once in person, you will be finished. It's very simple. And the second branch line, a pure power showdown with Tsunade. To be honest, when I first saw this, Ching Yu quickly thought of the famous scenes in the original work. Read more at mtlarchive.com. That is, a wrist wrestling match between 4th Kazekage and Tsunade. At that time, I used some tricks to instantly overtake Tsunade above speed, causing her to completely fail to react and lose the game.
If you want to complete it, it seems you can learn a little bit.
And what really made him amused, it is the third branch. In a regular gambling, I lost to Tsunade. Is this so? To lose to a woman with a loser halo? Is this a job that normal people can make? To know, in the original book, Tsunade almost only won the bet once.
That's a bet against Jiraiya. At that time, Tsunade bet that Jiraiya could not return from Rain Shinobi Village smoothly. Result: she won, Jiraiya died. Quote. In short,
these 3 tasks are very strange types. To complete them, naturally you can't think about it with common sense.
In other words, next, it seems that performing a wave of dramas is inevitable.
Thought of here, he began to compose the reasons at the mouth of the chapter. Looking at the Tsunade ahead, Ching Yu raised his eyebrows slightly and said with a chuckle. Ah, don't get me wrong, I'm just a passerby, but it happens to be heard that in the casinos in this area, there is a guy called the legendary Big Sheep, a crazy woman who is sure to lose every gamble.
I came to her to bet on purpose. I don't know, do you two know her? Ching Yu stared at Tsunade and Shizune ahead with a very naive and ignorant expression.
However, the voice fell. Shizune's face suddenly changed abruptly. The legendary Big Sheep, every mad woman who will lose the gambling? Isn't this just talking about Tsunade-sama? Damn it. This guy dared to say these impolite words in front of Tsunade-sama. When I think of this, advertisement Shizune gritted his teeth suddenly, took a step forward, with sharp eyes, intending to spray directly. However, before she could speak, suddenly, Tsunade stretched out her hand and stopped directly in front of her, then she raised her eyes to look at the opposite Ching Yu, squinted her eyes, holding back her anger, and slowly said. That crazy woman who you said will lose every gamble. Does it mean me? Despite the few descriptions just now, Tsunade probably knows that he is talking about himself. However, she still couldn't help but want to ask the young man in front of her for confirmation. And after hearing this, Ching Yu raised his hand and placed it on his chin, pretending to think. The woman they were talking about, it seems that I often wear a gray kimono and a green robe, and I like to tie my hair into a loose ponytail.
It seems to come out of Konaha. Furthermore, it is said that there is a pair of exaggerated breast muscles.
Liv, shut up. Ching Yu's voice was only halfway through. Shizune on the side finally couldn't help it, gritted his teeth and suddenly interrupted Ching Yu's words. Afterwards, her face was reddened, and she said angrily. No. You are not allowed to describe Tsunade-sama so frivolously. Shizune was angry. What is going on with this guy? This kind of detailed description can't be described in detail. No matter how you hear it, you know that you are talking about Tsunade-sama, right? Gray kimono, loose ponytail and beautiful figure. Isn't this obvious enough? However, even though Tsunade-sama is indeed very good, but what the hell is the pair of exaggerated pectoral muscles that this guy just said? That is obviously Tsunade-sama's strongest competitive capital, right? And just when Shizune's words fell, Ching Yu on the opposite side suddenly put on a somewhat surprised expression, looked at Tsunade here, and said in astonishment. Is it possible? This ant named Tsunade is the crazy woman herself? As soon as this word came out, suddenly, Shizune's face on the other side changed suddenly. Almost instantly, his face was pale and his eyes widened, and his eyes were about to stare out. What? Big ant? How dare to call Tsunade-sama like that? This TM. Do you want to die? Hey, Shizune was stunned. At this time, Tsunade on the opposite side suddenly turned gloomy quickly, and then, clenched his fists. Chakra burst out of his whole body instantly. It's like anger turned into real form. She looked at Ching Yu angrily, staring at him sternly, gritted her teeth in anger. Boy. When you speak, it's best to be a little. Pay attention to politeness. Chapter 170 Auntie, are you plowing the fields? For subscription, ===. Advertisement anger burns, full of oppression. Shizune on the side was frightened and dared not move at all. She can't remember how long she hasn't seen Tsunade like this, angry. And everything, it's all because of the word, auntie, in Ching Yu's mouth. To know, for all adult women, mentioning age is very taboo. Not to mention, an elderly woman, after all, in fact, Tsunade's true age has already reached the threshold of half 100. It's just that he has used a certain technique to make it look like he is only about 20 or 30 years old. Such a woman who does not want to be 50 years old. Now, he is openly called auntie, how can he not be angry? Even Shizune seems to be able to hear it. Tsunade's fist was already clenched so the bones creaked. It's over. This guy, I will definitely be hit by Tsunade-sama into the wall. Shizune looked at Ching Yu here, involuntarily swallowed, and even sympathized. At the beginning, there was a scum hooligan who wanted to Tsunade, but as a result, he was beaten to hemiplegia. Looking at the brown-haired young man in front of him, Shizune could already imagine his miserable situation later. At this time, seeing Tsunade fisted in anger, Ching Yu not only did not converge at all, but raised the corners of his mouth, chuckling softly. Tisk tut, it seems I have found the right one. According to the rumors, the mad woman really has a grumpy temper. Always like to do something if you don't agree. As soon as this word came out, Shizune's breathing suddenly stopped. This TM. You still say, however, at this moment, it was too late for him to think about it. Tsunade on the side suddenly gritted his teeth and stepped out. At the same time, the fist bursting out with countless chakra storms, directed straight at the opposite Ching Yu, and fisted away. Boom! Countless wind pressures along with chakra, emptied all the debris on the surrounding streets in an instant. Tsunade's violent punch, mixed with anger, hit Ching Yu's abdomen directly, hitting the bullseye. Boom! Chakra breath broke out instantly. That fierce strength directly led all the ground behind Ching Yu in this moment, and quickly broke. Even a wall in the distance was directly overturned. Boom! The dust is all over the sky, and the sound of collapse is constant. The huge momentum almost resounded through the entire street in an instant. If it weren't for the night, I'm afraid it would immediately attract the attention of 10,000 gamblers. And even Shizune behind Tsunade, they were all stunned by the hurricane that set off, and even had to close their eyes. But even so, advertisement, she was very clear in her heart. If Tsunade-sama's strange power has successfully hit, no one can hold it. In other words, the brown-haired young man with a broken mouth. It is estimated that now, lying in the ruins, can't get up.
While thinking, the surrounding storm finally dissipated.
Shizune breathed a sigh of relief, slowly opened his eyes, and looked forward. She was ready to speak to appease Tsunade's emotions. However, read more at mtlarchive.com. As soon as her gaze turned to Tsunade, she suddenly froze, frozen.
Because it's just ahead, before Tsunade's fist, the brown-haired young man was still standing there.
Now, not only was he unscathed, even with a leisurely smile on his face, he raised a hand and just happened to hold Tsunade's fist. And at the moment, even Tsunade himself, who fisted and attacked, completely froze. Her pupils shrank tightly, her breathing stagnated. What's going on? This kid, unexpectedly, caught my fist. Without using chakra, he actually, with just one right hand, he easily defended my attack. How is this possible? Tsunade's thoughts were completely interrupted, and his brain was almost blank. Her gaze was unbelievable, and she retracted her fist extremely slowly, then she looked at her hand, and then at the ruins of the broken wall in front. That's right. My attack has been successfully sent out. But why is this? If it hadn't been drunk and already sober, at this moment, Tsunade would even suspect that he had hallucinations. Because, under this powerful attack, the brown-haired youth in front of me. Not only was it unscathed, even, from start to finish, I didn't even take a step back. As if blocking this punch, it was just a trivial matter to him. It is simply not something that humans can do. Tsunade's pupils shrank slightly, and behind her, Shizune, who saw this picture, was even more stunned. Cannot read. I don't understand what happened the moment she closed her eyes. At this time, when neither of them knew was opposite Ching Yu's mind, the system prompt sounded instantly. Ding! Congratulations to host. The side mission has been completed. Meet the strange power of Konaha Tsunade, 1/1, Ryatsu plus 2000, Mul points plus 500. Hearing the prompt tone, a faint smile appeared on Ching Yu's face. Afterwards, he raised his eyebrows and looked at Tsunade ahead, suddenly raised his left hand and shook it casually in the air, chuckles. Unexpectedly, a woman who is not good at gambling would be so powerful. Auntie, are you plowing the fields? Advertisement? The punch just now made my hands feel a little numb. Ask for flowers. As soon as these words came out, Tsunade and Shizune were stunned again. But this time, what they care about is not the nonsensical, plowing the field, or auntie, or the like. Rather, the numbness in his mouth, this. As the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama, the granddaughter of the dignified ninja god Senju Hashirama, one of the legendary three ninjas, Tsunade possesses extremely powerful strange powers. This is the first time I have heard this kind of evaluation in this life. Her fist just makes the opponent's hand numb, that's it. After being silent for a long time, Tsunade clenched his fist again unwillingly. Subsequently, raising his eyes again and looking at Ching Yu ahead, gritted his teeth and said, "Who are you? On earth? Why is your body so hard as this outrageous degree?" 0. When the voice fell, Shizune's expression on the side suddenly moved slightly. She already felt it. Tsunade's mentality seems to be a little unstable. But it's right to think about it. Master Tsunade has been famous in the ninja world for so many years. It seems that this is the first time someone has blocked her strange power with a pure body. It's really incredible. However, at this time, after hearing what Tsunade said, on the opposite side, Ching Yu still kept a leisurely smile and said indifferently, "I said that. I'm just a passing gambler. Since you are the fat sheep in the legend, now, will you come and gamble with me?" Ching Yu is very casual and authentic. His purpose, of course, is to clear the task. However, hearing this, Tsunade and Shizune on the opposite side were stunned. What's going on? Such a strong guy, but just to find someone who will lose every gamble. Is there any problem with your mind? Chapter 171. I am often 17 seconds away by people, please subscribe, ===. Advertisement, you just said, you came here specially, you gambled with me. Why? Looking at Ching Yu ahead, Tsunade asked with a weird expression. However, there was a faint dignified look in his eyes. In fact, from the strange appearance of this brown-haired young man, Tsunade realized that he might have good strength. However, I did not expect. His strength can actually be exaggerated to the point of taking his own punch. At this time, Tsunade's drunkenness has naturally completely receded. So now, of course she was very curious about Ching Yu's purpose. Why on earth would he specially find someone who is not superb in gambling skills to gamble? However, just when she was thinking, on the opposite side, Ching Yu's eyes flashed slightly. Of course he said that Tsunade would ask the reason, but he didn't panic. Because he was ready for excuses a long time ago. Thinking of this, he still smiled leisurely and said casually. It's very simple, because, I want to win once. As soon as this word came out, not only Tsunade, but Shizune on the side was stunned. What do you mean, want to win once? So I came to see Mr. Tsunade specially. This is too humiliating, right? However, before she thought about it. But when he saw the opposite Ching Yu, he suddenly dropped his eyes slightly, showing a somewhat bitter expression, and said with emotion. To be honest, just like you, I am also a person who loses every gamble. Since I started to learn gambling, I have never won once in the entire gambling world. Send soccer a download. Even if I fight the landlord with others and get 2 blows in a straight start, I can be killed by 17 cards directly. Ching Yu said with a very helpless expression. However, upon hearing this, Tsunade and Shizune on the opposite side were confused again. Dodiju. What is it? What are his 2 blows and 1 straight and the 17-card spike in his mouth? Is it some kind of brand new gambling method that has never been heard of? But, although I don't understand, but it sounds like it's really miserable. Until then, Tsunade's clenched fist only loosened slightly. Even the frowning brow stretched slightly. Based on her 50 years of experience, it is of course impossible to tell whether a person is acting or not. Although the brown-haired boy in front of him is very strong, what he said just now is exactly what he has experienced personally, not like acting. It looks like advertisement. It seems that he is really just someone who happens to love gambling. Tsunade thought slightly in his heart. Since the opponent didn't show any malicious words even when he had already punched and attacked, then he didn't need to be arrogant. Thinking of this, Tsunade raised his eyes, looked at Ching Yu on the opposite side, snorted softly, and said. Humph, even if you say so, don't expect me to lose to you like that, kid. Bring it on. Read more at mtlarchive.com. You said, what do you want to bet on? Tsunade stood upright, holding his chest with both hands, and said as if condescendingly. The original anger in her heart, after the drunkenness and shock just now, it has almost disappeared. Since the other party wants to bet, it's not impossible. Anyway, she is a gambler herself. However, after hearing this, Shizune on the side suddenly looked surprised, and subconsciously surprised. Tsunade-sama, you don't really want to bet with him. But, you just said you want to go back to sleep. Don't worry, Shizune. Only halfway through her words, Tsunade interrupted instantly, then, with a confident smile, he said to Shizune. Anyway, the wine has almost woken up, there is no need to go to bed so early, right? Since this guy says he has never won, I want to see how bad his luck is. With that said, Tsunade stopped paying attention to Shizune, and instead looked at Ching Yu on the opposite side. However, at the moment when her eyes turned, she seemed to think of something, and her eyes lighted up instantly. The next moment, she suddenly raised the corners of her mouth slightly, looked at Ching Yu with frivolous eyes, and said with a smile. Now, kid, before the official gambling comparison begins, we might as well. Let's break your wrist first. How about, since you just blocked my punch, I also want to see how strong your pure strength is. If you can beat me by breaking your wrist, how about I bet with you again? Tsunade said with a weird smile. When the voice fell, before Ching Yu could respond, Shizune was taken aback for a moment. And many more. What's the situation? Master Tsunade, are you really ready to compete with this dark-haired guy from unknown origin? This development is too outrageous. Obviously you were still angry just now because this guy called you aunt. Is this about to start betting? Shizune stared at Tsunade blankly, his head clouded. Until a long time later, she suddenly smiled helplessly. Although it seems difficult to understand, but she also knows. My own Tsunade teacher, probably, the gambling addiction in my heart has committed again. And, with her violent temper, as long as she gets excited, no one can stop her. Have no idea. At this time, advertisement. After listening to Tsunade's words, Ching Yu on the other side was naturally taken aback. What the hell? This guy Tsunade volunteered to break his wrist with me? Ching Yu suddenly laughed in his heart. He originally planned to propose a power showdown after the regular gambling, but he did not expect that Tsunade hit the gun by himself. In this case, it just saves the trouble, thought of here. Ching Yu grinned suddenly and smiled. No problem at all. Don't waste time, come on. After a while, the three of them came to a clearing. Later, I found a stone table and sat on both sides. Tsunade and Ching Yu each stretched out one hand, clasped them tightly in a posture of breaking their wrists, and stood on the stone table. On the side of the two of them, Shizune looked helpless, with a reluctant expression on her face. So, after I have counted 3 and 2, you will start to work hard. 3, 2, 1, boom. At the moment when Shizune's voice fell, Tsunade and Ching Yu started to exert their strength almost at the same moment. Above Tsunade's body, the violent golden chakra burst out suddenly and rose to the sky. The extremely violent shockwave spread out in an instant, directly engulfed the sky full of storm wind, and swept away in terror to the surroundings. Around the entire stone table, the sky was full of dust and fallen leaves, and it was chaotic. Shizune on the side even changed his face directly, and was blown back several steps before barely stabilizing his figure, his eyes shocked. Hiss. This is the true power of Tsunade-sama. Even if I have seen it many times, Shizune was still very surprised, looking at Tsunade in disbelief. Her determined gaze and solemn face all brought out her seriousness at the moment. And the violent chakra all over, even more reveals her incomparable strength. No doubt, at this moment, Tsunade showed a stronger force than the previous punch. After a while, Shizune tried to look away and looked at Ching 3.7 Yu on the side. However, at this look, she suddenly froze, and her brain went blank in an instant. What's the matter with this TM? But at this moment, Ching Yu on the opposite side of Tsunade, there was no trace of chakra breath all over his body, it was terribly quiet. Facing Tsunade's strong sense of oppression, he still had a calm expression and no waves. And behind him, nothing happened. Compared with the violent scenes on Tsunade's side, it was completely moving and quiet, and the contrast was obvious. More importantly, now, his hand, unexpectedly, faintly pressed Tsunade. Chapter 172 My power is a little bit stronger than you, please subscribe, ===. Advertisement. Seeing this weird picture, Shizune was stunned on the spot, and his thoughts were completely interrupted. How can this be? Even the serious-minded Tsunade-sama, in terms of strength, unexpectedly, can he be back-pressured? And, look at his indifferent look, this guy, it seems, hasn't used all his strength yet? Aware of this, Shizune's face was almost pale, and she swallowed hard. From small to large, in her cognition, Tsunade all exist as the top of the power pyramid. Even if Toad Sage Jiraiya, who is also one of the three ninjas, may surpass Tsunade in terms of ninjutsu, but in terms of pure power, it is far behind. But the guy in front of me seems as if he has surpassed Tsunade. The cold sweat ran down and Shizune froze, and at this time, this side of the stone table, naturally Tsunade's face changed slightly. She couldn't help feeling that her hand was pressed down a little bit. But, what is this feeling? Obviously I have exerted the greatest strength so far, but it seems that I am facing a huge mountain, it is hard to shake it at all. Tsunade's pupils shrank slightly, staring at Ching Yu on the opposite side. Unbelievable eyes. And at this moment, on the opposite side, Ching Yu's golden pupil flickered slightly. He didn't pay attention to Sun 25's look, but instead controlled his Ryatsu with all his heart. Yes, he certainly did not rely on pure physical power to fight against. Instead, he enlarged his Ryatsu to cover his entire arm, thereby giving a strong gravity and thrust to push down the opponent. After Ryatsu is compressed, the power shown is far more terrifying than the original. Therefore, even so far, the Ryatsu used by Ching Yu is only less than 30%, but it has already shown a clear advantage. Now, unless she unlocks the 100 healings mark and uses Baihao technique, there is no chance of winning at all. But even if she did, Ching Yu only needed to use 100% Ryatsu, and she could still secure the victory perfectly. In other words, this power confrontation, Ching Yu has already won. Thought of here, Ching Yu raised his eyes slightly and looked at Tsunade on the opposite side, no longer hesitating, and decided to win directly. Since she can only bet a game if she has won, then naturally there is no need to hesitate. The moment when my thoughts move slightly, he immediately increased Ryatsu's release. This moment, an immense force was exerted on Ching Yu's entire arm, wrist and palm, and he slammed towards Tsunade's right hand. Directly press her hand down quickly and instantly. The moment Tsunade felt this tremendous force, Tsunade's face suddenly changed, and his breathing was stagnant. What's going on? This sudden surge of power is... Tsunade's thoughts are completely interrupted, however, at this moment, she had no time to react at all. Advertisement. At the moment she realized it, her hand was directly pressed down by that terrifying force and placed on the stone table. Boom! The entire stone table was shattered in an instant. Even on the ground, countless terrifying cracks began to appear. Bang! Countless gusts of wind swept along, and all the golden chakra in Tsunade's body almost completely dissipated in an instant. Fallen leaves rolled up, flying sand and rocks. The scene is chaotic. Now, Shizune in the distance can't see anything at all. She just froze, and she was terrified in her heart. Read more at mtlarchive.com. This is also called wrist wrestling? Don't say the stone table is shattered, even the earth is shattered? Just the momentary power that is suppressed, can it bring such a terrifying momentum? Hiss. At this moment, her back was completely cold, and she couldn't help but take a breath. Although just now, she felt that she was mentally prepared. But still be shocked beyond words, after a long time. The smoke and dust around began to slowly dissipate. And at the moment, on the ruins of the stone table, Tsunade's right arm was pressed by Ching Yu's hand. It's a foregone conclusion. At this moment, there was no sound. Only the unbroken wind is still blowing gently. This wrist wrestling showdown is about strength. Weird Tsunade. Lost. At this moment, she also had a drop of cold sweat hanging on her forehead. Her face was slightly startled, and her eyes were filled with incredible horror. What's going on? Did I lose like this? Before I had time to feel his true strength, I even lost it straight away? At this moment, Tsunade was completely speechless. She slowly raised her head, moved her gaze away from her arm, and looked at Ching Yu in disbelief. However, at this time, on the opposite side, Ching Yu still has a leisurely expression with a faint smile. At this moment, of course, he also noticed Tsunade's look, so he raised his eyebrows slightly and said with a light smile. "Excuse me. It seems that my strength seems to be a little bit stronger than you." While talking, Ching Yu raised his hand and compared his thumb and index finger with a smile. However, as soon as this word came out, the Tsunade on the opposite side suddenly gave a shock. Instead, froze, and many more. What did he say? His power, slightly bigger. Is this a bit bigger? With the huge force that just came out, I don't even have the strength to resist, right? What is the gap in the gestures of your fingers, the universe between the fingers? Advertisement. This is obviously a big billion points, right? Tsunade stared closely at Ching Yu in front of him, his eyes staring blankly. In fact, her mentality has collapsed somewhat. She had never encountered such a strong opponent before breaking her wrists. No, it's not right, it's in a pure power showdown. She had never felt such an obvious sense of gap, as if. Even if Baihao technique is turned on, it can't stop the general. Tsunade thought blankly. At this time, what she didn't know was. On the opposite side of Ching Yu, there was a system prompt in his mind. Ding! Congratulations, host. The side quest has been completed. A pure power duel with Tsunade. 1/1, completed. Reward. Ryatsu plus 500, Mul points plus 500. At the moment when he heard the prompt tone, Ching Yu's eyes suddenly jumped. Just added 5,000 Ryatsu? This? Is it because I just controlled Ryatsu to win? Ching Yu's heart suddenly became happy. In fact, he has already felt the benefits of Ryatsu's improvement very clearly. For example, this time with Tsunade's wrist wrestling duel 903. If Ching Yu's Ryatsu level is still the level of the year, it is absolutely impossible to win so easily. Even whether it can win is a question. Next. All it takes is a logical bet with Tsunade, and then deliberately lose to her, seems to be able to complete the third branch. It's so smooth. A smile appeared on the corner of Ching Yu's mouth and looked at Tsunade on the opposite side. However, just when he was about to speak, suddenly. There was a strange feeling in his mind. Ching Yu was taken aback for a moment, and then, an indifferent voice suddenly rang in his mind. Ching Yu. At the moment when he heard this sound, Ching Yu's face was taken aback for a moment. And many more. This is Pain's voice. Ching Yu immediately looked at the ring in his hand subconsciously. As expected, Pen was using the ring to initiate remote communication. However, just when Ching Yu was surprised, Pen suddenly continued to speak solemnly. Ching Yu, there is an emergency, we need your support. Chapter 173 The Wolong and Phoenix Young in the Akatsuki organization for subscription ===. Advertisement Emergency situations? Ching Yu suddenly couldn't help but his expression moved. Currently, Rain Shinobi Village has Pain and Konan sitting in person, so there will be no problems. In other words, the situation must have happened here to do the task. Is it Itachi and Kisame from Konaha? Or is it Kakuzu or Deidara over there? In a short moment, all the possibilities appeared in Ching Yu's mind instantly. However, before he had time to respond, he heard Pain continue to speak in a solemn manner. According to the information returned by Ju, on the way to and from Konaha, he found Hidan's location. In the western part of the country of fire, in a deep mountain named Nine Collars. When the words fell, Ching Yu was taken aback for a moment. And many more. What's the situation? The Nine Collar Mountains in the western part of the country of fire? Didn't the information say that there are only 3 places where the Cthulhu is haunted? It seems to be aware of Ching Yu's doubts. Pain's eyes flickered slightly in the country of rain and said calmly. The information we found earlier is very likely to be done by other members of the Cthulhu cult. It has nothing to do with Hidan, according to Absolutely. He saw it with his own eyes. Hidan was acting alone in that mountain and preaching to the villagers in the country of fire. And as long as they question the evil gods, they will all be killed by him in an extremely special way. Pain's voice fell. Ching Yu suddenly moved his heart slightly, and couldn't help but shook his head helplessly. This is indeed Hidan's style. Either accept the mission. Either accept death. Currently, Deidara and you, the closest to him, Kakuzu won't talk about it in Unokuni. Deidara's side, I have notified him that he has rushed over. However, with his current strength, he may not be able to win the immortal Hidan, and even, it is possible to be killed. That's why I contacted you to ensure the success of the recruitment. Pain said solemnly. Obviously, when he said this, it meant that he was convinced that Ching Yu could succeed. As if this was a destined thing. However, after the voice fell, Ching Yu suddenly raised his eyebrows. Under what circumstances, let Deidara go to gank Hidan first? Ching Yu was a little bit dumbfounded in his heart. He never expected to kill him. The Crouching Dragon and Phoenix Chicks organized by Akatsuki are about to fight so soon. But if you really let them 1v1, the result is really hard to say. After all, Hidan's curse, Death Division relies on blood, and he only needs to ingest the opponent's blood, which is basically equal to a steady win. Advertisement except for the undead with many hearts like Kakuzu, few people can bear it. Deidara is no exception. But Deidara's explosive clay is not vegetarian either. As long as he wants to, he can even stay in the air all the time, fly a kite and explode the Hidan on the ground remotely, and directly become a tumor bomber. No matter how hard Hidan's life is, he will probably be blown up. In other words, this is a PK between brains. These two crouching dragon and phoenix chicks all added a little bit of beauty and gave up the existence of IQ. Maybe, it will become a classic battle. Read more at mtlarchive.com. I see. After a while, Ching Yu replied in his heart. In fact, he didn't want to get involved in it. However, the long-term side task of recruiting 3 members for Akatsuki in the system has not been completed yet. It's inevitable to go once, after all, the reward for this task, but the X reward is marked. You will lose money if you don't get it. Currently, Ching Yu has already participated in the recruitment of Orochimaru and Deidara. As long as Hidan is successfully recruited, rewards will not be a problem. With Ching Yu's thinking, Pain's contact was broken after a while. However, Tsunade and Shizune on this side stared at Ching Yu at the same time with strange expressions. Naturally, they couldn't hear the call in Ching Yu's mind, they just saw his changing face. Because of this, I was surprised. At this time, Ching Yu just noticed that their eyes have been staring here. Then he chuckled helplessly. Sorry, I lost my mind all of a sudden. Come on, hurry up and take a bet, I may be in a hurry. As soon as this word came out, Tsunade and Shizune looked at each other, and both felt a little strange. The guy who was so carefree just now, suddenly in a hurry. Just now. Something absolutely happened. Could it be that? Some kind of remote communication technique? Tsunade thought slightly in his heart. But there is no way, since I just said that as long as you lose your wrist, you can bet. Of course she couldn't regret it anymore. After a while, the 3 of them came to a casino at the end of Short Street. Even if it is almost late at night, here, there are still many gamblers lingering in it. Even the loud noise from the street before did not interrupt their interest in gambling. Tsunade is a regular customer at first glance. After entering, he greeted the boss very skillfully and brought Ching Yu to a place similar to a cubicle. On the tabletop here, there are all kinds of gambling equipment, a dazzling array. Tsunade looked at Ching Yu, grinned slightly, and chuckled. Take a look, whose luck is worse tonight, right? Hearing this, advertisement Ching Yu raised her eyebrows slightly, amused in her heart. You plan to compare luck with me, what I plan to compare with you is to open up and show off. Now, of course, Ching Yu didn't intend to ink anymore. After all, over there, with Deidara, it is possible that one person cannot handle Hidan. So, I still have to help with this little favor. The moon sets and the sun rises, in a blink of an eye, it came to the next day. The morning sun pierced the darkness and dark clouds and sprinkled on the land of the ninja world. At this time, to the west of the country of fire, in the deep mountains named Zhu Ling. The lush green woods, with luxuriant branches, completely conceal the view below. At the same time, a huge white bird soars above the sky. If you look closely, you will find that this white bird is not a real life form, it is just made of white clay. And above Shiratori, a young man with yellow hair and ponytail dressed in a red cloud and black robe squatted on top and looked down below. Then he frowned and mumbled, Zay, what the hell is that? Can't you give more details about that guy's information? Where to find such a big forest? Hey, grieving on one side. Deidara rode the white bird towards the bottom of the forest. Although I feel more upset, but, after all, this is his first official task. If it is not completed well, will it be laughed at by other members? Of course Deidara didn't want to do this. What he hopes is that his explosive art can be admired by others, just like Ching Yu did. Therefore, of course he will spare no effort to complete this task. After falling on the ground, Deidara put away her clay white bird, and then walked forward. However, before he left for a while, he saw an unexpected vision. But I saw above the big tree ahead, it turns out. Hanging the corpse of a villager. He was hung from a branch, his chest was pierced by a spear, and his death was very tragic. Seeing this picture, Deidara's face suddenly changed slightly and her eyes became serious. And at this moment, he instantly discovered that under the big tree, on the ground, a strange circular formation was drawn with bloodline. After walking past, he immediately moved slightly in his heart. The blood hasn't dried yet, that is to say, I just left soon, huh? Deidara put his hand on his chin and thought carefully, but at this moment. Behind him, suddenly there was a brisk voice, Yo, brother. Do you want to join our cult? Chapter 174 Senior Ching Yu said that you are a mentally handicapped person, please subscribe, ===. Advertisement, as soon as the voice fell. Deidara's expression was stunned for a moment, Cthulhu. Is it the guy named Hidan, while thinking? Deidara turned around and looked in the direction of the sound. But see the front, there stood a handsome man wearing fashionable casual clothes with a red sickle in his hand. His silver hair was combed into a big bag and attached to his scalp, he was wearing a weird pendant. At this moment, he was looking here with a smile on his face. When he saw Deidara turn around, his face was obviously taken aback, and he raised his eyebrows and said, Huh? I didn't expect to be a kid. Well, age is not a problem, then, do you want to join my Cthulhu, little brother? Deidara's eyes looked up and down, confirmed immediately. This guy, it was definitely Akatsuki's goal, the 9th person Hidan. Thought of here, Deidara lifted her chin suddenly and said faintly. What are you talking about here? The voice fell. Hidan smiled suddenly, thinking he was interested, he grinned and explained with a smile. Hey, we Cthulhu, as long as you join in, you will be blessed. Even if you kill someone, you won't be questioned at all, and more than that, if the Cthulhu Lord knows about it, you will even be even happier. Well, our doctrine is very good, right? Do you want to join? Huh? Hidan said happily, looking at Deidara, looking expectantly. 907 words fall, Deidara showed a clear gaze. Then, she glanced at the blood formation under her body. Then, she looked over and said, "Oh, so you killed this person just to make the so-called evil god happy?" As the intelligence said, it really is an unreasonable murderer. Deidara said lightly, among the information he received. Hidan, indeed, has been labeled as an immortal murderer. However, after hearing Deidara's words, Hidan frowned and said with a curled mouth. Clam? Murder? It's not like that, okay? I'm just praying devoutly to my Lord Cthulhu. By the way, you kid. Hey, that casual tone, is it disrespectful to Lord Cthulhu? While talking, Hidan raised the sickle in his hand and pointed it at Deidara ahead. See here, Deidara snorted suddenly. Immediately, showing an arrogant smile, he lifted his chin directly and chuckled softly. Are you stupid? You actually believe in the illusory existence of the so-called Cthulhu? This kind of thing is funny when you hear it. As soon as this word came out, after a while, Hidan's smile froze. Then, a trace of anger began to appear in his eyes, staring at Deidara, and said in a very uncomfortable voice. Huh, kid. Don't think that when you were young, you can insult the Cthulhu Lord by saying anything. A little guy like you, I still can't kill it. Advertisement. Next, let you see the power conferred by Lord Cthulhu. While talking, the sickle in Hidan's hand moved higher. At this time, after hearing this, Deidara still showed a contemptuous smile and said, The power given by Cthulhu? Huh, in front of my explosive art, it's rubbish. Speaking of which, he even raised a middle finger directly. Very arrogant. Read more at mtlarchive.com, seeing this picture. Of course Hidan couldn't bear it anymore, he gritted his teeth and rushed out. Directly swung the sickle towards Deidara. The red light of the knife slid across like a crescent moon, swept a beautiful arc, and slashed towards Deidara's waist. For the existence of this kind of insult to the evil god, Hidan will not hold back the slightest. Cut it and it's over, base, it's too late, and the blade is about to approach Deidara's body. But at this moment, the mutation happened, from nowhere. Suddenly a huge white bird flew over, Deidara reached out and grabbed it, and was directly taken to fly, off the ground. Hidan's sickle slash just so happened to be missed. Aware of this, Hidan gritted his teeth suddenly and looked up. But at this moment, Deidara was sitting on top of Shiratori, looking down below condescendingly, and suddenly waved her hand. Huh! 3 swift clay white pigeons flew down instantly and rushed towards Hidan. Seeing this picture, Hidan, of course, is not a vegetarian, as he had expected. Therefore, his eyes suddenly sank and then flashed. The 3 white doves happened to land on the ground under Hidan's feet and did not hit him. Subsequently, he just carried his sickle on his shoulders, looked up at Deidara above, and said uncomfortably. Tisk. Kid, I don't see that you still understand this kind of weird trick. But the accuracy of your sneak attack is too bad, right? I can avoid your pigeons with my eyes closed, Hidan said loudly and arrogantly. However, hearing this, Deidara not only didn't have any anger, but grinned directly, chuckled, and said. Senior Ching Yu once said that you may be a mentally handicapped person, it seems that you are really right. If so, I won. While talking, Deidara raised her hand and made a seal with one hand. Drink. While sipping, surgery start, the 3 clay pigeons at Hidan's feet exploded instantly. Boom. The burst of fire and shockwaves swallowed Hidan in an instant. At this moment, he had no time to dodge, his pupils suddenly shrank, and only 2 words came out of his mouth. Nani? However, the voice has not yet fallen, and the explosion has exploded. Boom. The blazing flames soared into the sky, and the smoke was scattered all over the sky, shocking countless birds and beasts in the woods. The wind swept away. High in the sky, advertisement. Deidara stood on Shiratori's back and smiled excitedly. Explosion is art, and at this time. In the distance, absolutely also noticed the change here. In fact, after he found Hidan's trail, he left here and went to Konaha, looking for Itachi and Kisame. After confirming that everything was normal there, he returned here. But did not expect, when I came back, I saw an explosion. Is it Deidara? He is already at war with Hidan? While thinking about it, Ju immediately used the mayfly technique, merged into the earth, and headed towards Deidara and Hidan in front. After a while, he stretched out from a tree trunk. But at this moment, the smoke below has dissipated. Hidan, who was holding a sickle, had been blown out of his clothes, lying on the ground and vomiting blood, as if temporarily unable to move. At this moment, Ju's eyes turned to Deidara in front of him. Corresponding, Deidara naturally also noticed the Jew who appeared next to her. He grinned suddenly and chuckled softly. Yo, is it absolutely? It's a good time, just to be a witness. Let me blow up this guy who doesn't know what good or bad, it's fun, huh? While talking, Deidara folded her hands, and suddenly 2 round clay bombs appeared in her hands. Seeing this picture, suddenly, Ju was shocked and his face changed slightly. What's this? UTM got the task in the wrong direction, right? Aren't we here to solicit Hidan? It's not here to kill him? Thought of here, Ju suddenly spoke in a condensed voice. Ah, Deidara, be careful. Hidan is the key ninth man we want to recruit, not the enemy. As soon as this word came out, only then did Deidara's expression move slightly, and then he poked her mouth and said uncomfortably. Clam. Tisk. Okay, I get it, then don't explode, go and ask him if he wants to join. While talking, Deidara jumped from above Shiratori and stepped to Hidan's side. He looked down at Hidan indifferently and said directly. Hey, guy who believes in evil gods. You have good abilities, do you want to join us, Akatsuki? However, his voice just fell, and suddenly the situation suddenly changed. But seeing Hidan, who was still dying just now, suddenly raised his arm, waved the red sickle, and slashed towards Deidara's leg. Deidara's face changed dramatically, and she quickly dodged away.
However, at the moment he withdrew, a slight wound was still cut on the right leg by Hidan's sickle.
A trace of blood oozes. Chapter 175. It's a dead end, a sudden figure. For subscription, ===. Advertisement. The blood was bright red, stained on Hidan's red sickle. Pain came. Deidara's eyes shook slightly for an instant. He did not expect it. Hidan, who was still lying on the ground just now, suddenly attacked. What's more unexpected is that the sickle in his hand can actually be extended. Deidara stepped back with a gloomy face and came to a position 3 meters away. Immediately, he glanced at the wound of his calf with a frown, but saw a slight and obvious cut. Then, he looked up at Hidan, raised his chin, and said uncomfortably. Tisk. Unexpectedly, you guys still has the strength to attack. I knew I should blow it up again, however, he hasn't finished speaking yet. Suddenly, seeing ahead, Hidan, covered in blast scars, suddenly stood up and staggered.
Quote. Deidara was taken aback for a moment. This.
After being hit by all the 3 explosions I just made, how could he get up so quickly? However, just when he was thinking, Hidan on the opposite side suddenly gritted his teeth and looked here, and shouted savagely. Kuso. Damn, it's kid. That kind of explosive attack hurts, it hurts, don't you know? As soon as the voice fell, before Deidara on the other side could react, Hidan suddenly raised the sickle in his hand and quickly licked the bloodline on the blade. That was the blood obtained from the attack on Deidara just now. Immediately, he raised his eyes and stared at Deidara, angrily. Humph. I also want you, kid, to feel the pain I just had just now. Hidan said viciously. Seeing this picture, Deidara was taken aback. This guy. What's going on? Did you eat my blood? Whispering sound. Nausea. Seeing this, Deidara immediately crossed his hands and raised 2 white clay bombs in his hands. He raised his eyes slightly and said coldly, it seems. You don't seem to be convinced yet, so let's try this again, huh? The voice fell. Deidara didn't hesitate anymore, and directly threw the 2 ball-shaped clay bombs in his hand towards Hidan ahead. Base. The ball-shaped clay rushed towards Hidan instantly. And at this moment, Hidan's eyes flashed, and he stepped directly to the side. Dodged the 2 clay bombs that came flying, however, even so. Deidara still didn't panic at all. Instead, she raised her hand and suddenly got a seal. Then she grinned and smiled contemptuously. Hey, too naive. The moment the Jia Yin is completed. I saw that the 2 ball-shaped clay that rushed out suddenly changed into the shape of a bat, as if there was life. Under Deidara's control, he immediately started to turn and rush towards Hidan here. However, unexpectedly, Hidan also showed a weird smile and sneered. Innocent as you, kid. Advertisement. The voice fell. He raised his hand impressively, and black and white lines began to appear on his hand. Then, the color of the whole person's skin began to change. In the end, the whole person turned into a weird black and white. Seeing this picture, Deidara was shocked. But although he was puzzled, he didn't dare to be careless anymore, and his eyes sank in an instant. Directly controlled 2 bat bombs and crash away quickly. Drink. Accompanied by a low growl, in an instant, the clay bomb exploded directly all over Hidan. The blazing fire blasted into the sky, and the extremely fierce shockwave swept towards the surroundings, submerging Hidan's body. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Seeing this picture, the people watching the game on the tree suddenly felt stunned. As expected of Rock Shinobi's genius, this explosion style, in a sense, it is really powerful. However, it is not waiting for him to sigh. Suddenly, the change happened again. But met opposite, Deidara, who was still fine, suddenly seemed to have been bombarded by some invisible huge force. His face suddenly changed, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. Puff. At the same time, it was as if countless explosions and burning scars appeared on his body. Deidara's face suddenly stiffened, and she fell straight down. Seeing this picture, at this moment, the dead time on the tree was directly stunned. Etc. What happened? Shouldn't it be the Hidan that was blown up by the detonating clay? Why did Deidara fall? It's silly to look at it directly. And the next moment, the smoke on the opposite side began to dissipate, but I saw Hidan inside, without a trace of scars on his body. Unlike the previous explosion, he seemed to ignore the explosion this time. Aware of this, of course, it is not only absolutely stunned. Deidara, lying on the ground, looked even more confused. Unbelievable. Why, he actually can bounce my explosion back to myself. Deidara's pupils shrank slightly. Despite the severe pain coming from his body, he still kept thinking at a high speed.
And at this moment, he suddenly found out, I don't know when, Hidan actually stood in that weird scarlet circle.
Could it be that thing is the ghost of it? Deidara's breathing suddenly stagnated, and at this moment, Hidan on the opposite side showed an excited laugh for a while, looking at Deidara here, yelling excitedly. Haha kid. You feel the pain of being blown up by the clay now, right? See it? This is the curse power that Lord Cthulhu gave me. From the moment when your blood was ingested by me, now, no matter what I get hurt, it will all be returned to you, ha ha ha. Hidan raised the sickle in his hand and spoke frantically. In those eyes, there seems to be admiration for that evil god. However, after listening to this advertisement, whether it was Deidara or Ju, they froze directly. What? As long as the blood is taken, no matter what the damage is, it can be returned to others. Ask for flowers, what disgusting ability is this NM?
Deidara's face suddenly turned pale. Although he is really good at various types of explosive tactics, but, if it really does what Hidan said, now, everything will be of no avail.
Because, no matter how subtle the explosion, the damage will be returned to oneself. If you attack him now, it would be self-harm at all. Thought of here, Deidara gritted her teeth suddenly and her face was ugly. Careless. It's really, too careless. Just now, you shouldn't listen to that stupid bee. It should be in the sky, to the second level, fry this cult guy into minced meat. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of Deidara's mouth, but his eyes were stunned. Of course, he was very unwilling in his heart. This is the first official mission, and it turned out to be like this. And at this time, the Jew on the branch was of course dumbfounded. Gave Deidara? 0? In the woods, the air suddenly fell silent. At this time, Hidan on the opposite side, from nowhere, suddenly pulled out a sharp black spear. He looked at Deidara here with a triumphant smile and grinned. Boy, you should already regret that you just insulted Lord Cthulhu?
But, regret is useless. Next, I only need to use this spear to pierce my heart, and you will be able to go to hell obediently.
As he said, a crazy look appeared on Hidan's face. Apart from anything else, he directly raised the spear in his hand and slammed it directly toward his left chest. And there is where the heart is, seeing this picture. For a moment, Deidara's head went blank immediately. And the must on the tree, it's completely stunned. This TM. Crazy, lunatic, right? I just stabbed my heart when I came up. I will definitely look dumbfounded, however. Just at this critical moment, suddenly an incomparably powerful sense of terror and oppression, just like a rainstorm is approaching, it instantly falls from the sky. Next moment, a black figure appeared directly like a ghost, and it appeared directly beside Hidan. Subsequently, he just reached out his hand leisurely. He actually grabbed the dark spear that was about to be inserted in Hidan's hand. The sharp edge of that spear, stay only 1 centimeter away from the chest. Never again. Can't move on anymore. Chapter 176 Cut someone and broke the special knife? For subscription, ===. Advertisement, seeing this weird picture. This moment, the audience is silent, whether it's Hidan, Deidara, or the jewel on the tree. At this moment, all froze at the same time. That terrifying sense of oppression still pressed on them, making them even unable to breathe smoothly. While their backs were chilling, the hearts of the three were extremely shocked. Especially Hidan, he stared at the stalled jet black spear in his hand and the figure in front of him, bewildered on the spot. How did this man appear? This terrifying force, what's the situation? Hidan raised his eyes and froze. I saw the front. This figure also wore a red cloud and black robe, and on his left hand, he wore a ring with the word, Jade, engraved on it. Long brown hair was swaying in the wind, and a pair of bright golden pupils seemed to be burning. He looked at Hidan here, chuckled and said, good. It seems to have just caught up, while talking. He still only stretched out his hand casually with a complexion, and held the tail of the spear with ease. It seems that there is no effort at all. But, Hidan is holding a spear, but he feels like he is facing a piece of reinforced concrete. There is no energy in TM at all, and at this time, seeing this weird picture. Jew on the tree, the first to react, his face was startled, and he subconsciously spoke. Ching Yu. He never expected, at this moment, the people who came out to rescue Deidara. It turned out to be the Ching Yu who was far away in the short book street. And at this time, below, Deidara lying on the ground naturally reacted too. Suddenly, his expression quickly changed from grief and unwillingness to excitement and excitement. Senior. Clear cough, Senior Ching Yu. Deidara seemed to have forgotten that he was hurt, coughing and shouting excitedly. All the unwillingness and despair in my heart just now are all gone at this moment. At this time, Ching Yu in the front slightly raised his eyes and looked at Deidara, chuckling softly. What happened? Deidara, you just joined Akatsuki, is this crippled? There is no newbie protection period? Ching Yu smiled unexpectedly while holding the jet black spear. To be honest, although Deidarav's Hidan's battle is full of uncertainty. But before coming, Ching Yu still feels that Deidara's odds of winning are relatively large. Advertisement after all he needs to do is to kite remotely. As long as the blood is not ingested, Hidan can basically be killed by bombs. Just like Shikamaru fried Hidan, but looking at the current situation. The injuries on Deidara's body were obviously caused by the explosion. However, as an artistic genius, how could he have such a low-level mistake? In other words, there is only one reason, and that is that he was hit by Hidan's counter-injury. Read more at mtlarchive.com. This is why when he first came down, Ching Yu did not directly choose to shoot Hidan, but first grabbed the spear to stop it. At this moment, hearing Ching Yu's words, Deidara was taken aback. Novice protection period. Senior, what does this mean? After joining Akatsuki, will there be this? Facing Deidara's very sincere question, Ching Yu suddenly turned Byakugan and said very casually. At least, it's not like you're going to deflate as soon as you come in, maybe. Suddenly, Hidan on the side suddenly showed an unhappy expression and said strangely. Hey, you guy, just appeared so suddenly and then started chatting, huh? Do you think of me as heir? Anyway, how come you two, plus the guy on the tree, are wearing the same clothes? What kind of band costume is this? Hidan said with a weird face. As a true undead, even in the face of 3 people, he didn't really panic at the moment. After all, I have successfully ingested the blood of that yellow hair.
Next, as long as you stand in the circle, nothing is in vain at all.
Anyway, no matter how good you are, I can take all the damage out.
Now, Hidan is even very confident. Can fight this guy named Ching Yu.
After hearing what he said, Ching Yu also looked over, then raised his eyebrows and said. It looks like, did you refuse our Akatsuki's invitation?
Quote. Oh, Akatsuki. Hidan suddenly showed an exaggerated expression, then curled his mouth and said.
That kind of indifferent thing is too weak compared to my Cthulhu. There is no need to join, right? By the way, brother, since you are so strong, do you want to join our cult? Our doctrine is great, come on. Talking, Hidan has become a missionary again. Advertisement however, Ching Yu just showed no expression and replied casually.
Oh, I am an atheist. Quote. Hidan was taken aback for a moment, then his face suddenly sank.
So it seems. Your entire organization seems to be such a disrespectful fellow.
Talking, Hidan unexpectedly waved the other hand, directly manipulated the sickle in his hand, and slashed directly towards Ching Yu's body.
Seeing this sudden picture, Deidara's pupils suddenly shrank, and she said in amazement. Senior, be careful, once it is cut by his knife, then. However, before he finished speaking, Hidan's blade is already close to Ching Yu, about to hit his shoulder. But Ching Yu still didn't even look at it, his expression was completely motionless. Hidan's heart suddenly laughed. Didn't it respond? It seems, it's another new sacrifice for the evil gods. Base. It's too late to say, then soon. The blade of the sickle hit Ching Yu's shoulder accurately. But next, it was an incredible scene for Hidan, but it appeared. I could only hear a sound of, keng, the moment it hit Ching Yu. That red 3-bladed sickle, all of them were broken off. Hidan's face changed suddenly, bang. The blade fell to the ground, Ching Yu was unscathed. Not to mention blood, not even scratches. On the other side, Deidara, who had just prepared a 3.7 to remind her with a horrified expression, at this moment, the words directly stalked her throat. He was stunned to speak, and this side, Hidan, holding the sickle, froze even more. His eyes were widened in an instant, almost protruding, just like hell. What's the matter with this TM? Cut someone. Did the knife break? F***ck is outrageous. Hidan was completely dumbfounded for a moment, his underdeveloped head. At this moment, it was down completely. Chapter 177 now, it's my turn to rendezvous, subscription required, ===. Advertisement. There was no sound. The cold wind whizzed through the woods. The broken blade was on the ground, reflecting the coquettish light. A weird scene, just stayed at the moment Hidan waved. The most embarrassing thing in the shinobi world. It's the result when you want to kill someone with confidence, was anti-killed. And more embarrassing than this is, obviously he had completely preempted the first move, but he broke the knife. Hidan constricted his pupils, and his mind went blank. In fact, the sickle in his hand was specially made for cursing rituals. The curse ritual requires the blood of others, therefore. His sickle was specially polished to the extreme in sharpness. The purpose is to accurately separate the opponent's clothes and skin at the moment of contact with the opponent, thereby ingesting the opponent's blood. Therefore, the blade may not necessarily be hard. But it will definitely be sharp enough, just like when facing Deidara. Although it barely touched a bit, there was still a gap. But now, sharp fart, not only didn't cut this guy's skin, but it was broken directly. This unprecedented situation naturally made Hidan unacceptable. He stared at the broken sickle, it's like hell, and at the moment. 25 seeing the weird picture just now, Deidara on the ground also couldn't help but shudder, and then took a breath. Hiss. That kind of terrifying slash is still intact? What's this? Is your body harder than steel? Deidara was horrified, but thinking about it, he also began to remember. From the first meeting, Ching Yu's body seems to have extraordinary defensive power far beyond ordinary people. Just like when I was in Iwagakure, Deidara's bomb was so violent, it never brought any scars to Ching Yu. If you think about it this way, he broke this blade directly, but it was reasonable. While thinking, Deidara still swallowed involuntarily. At this time, on the other side, Ching Yu glanced at the broken sickle, then raised his eyes and looked at Hidan ahead, raising his eyebrows and chuckles. Is this a toy? As soon as the voice fell. In an instant, the woods seemed to be quieter. Advertisement. Not only Hidan, even Deidara and Ju on the side. After hearing this sentence, he involuntarily froze, and then his blood pressure soared. Toy? What's this? That sharp blade is actually said to be a toy? Just when the three of them were confused,
Ching Yu raised a hand, looked at Hidan, and said casually.
Now, read more at mtlarchive.com. It's my turn, too. Talking, on his palm, a red light full of oppression suddenly appeared. However, seeing the moment this light appeared, the first person to change his face was not Hidan, but Deidara lying on the ground. His face suddenly panicked, and he hurriedly said. Wait a minute, senior, don't worry about it, now all the damage he receives will be transferred to me. Deidara said quickly with cold sweat. He was afraid that he would be slow to speak. Ching Yu directly gave Hidan to the second. If that is the case, oneself is tantamount to being buried. However, hearing this, Ching Yu just glanced over and said indifferently. That's not a transfer, it's just a sharing of harm. Author's note. The description of Hidan's ability in the previous chapter has a slight problem, but it should not affect viewing. However, because of this guy's abilities, it looks like he hasn't been injured. Not to mention, I didn't say I was going to attack directly. The moment the voice fell, before everyone could react, Ching Yu suddenly snapped his fingers without saying anything. Snapped. Bakudo no 9, collapse wheel, base. The moment the finger sound falls, in front of his arm, countless bright golden rays of light suddenly appeared.
Afterwards, suddenly burst out from Ching Yu's palm.
In the next moment, all the golden rays of light began to entangle and weave instantly, becoming a giant net-like existence, and instantly impacting towards Hidan ahead.
Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. Seeing this picture, Hidan was taken aback.
So TM started attacking directly? And? What's the matter with this weird light? A ninjutsu never seen before, hello.
Could it be any light escape? Realizing this, Hidan subconsciously wanted to avoid it.
However, that extreme speed almost surpasses lightning, making him unable to react at all.
He just raised his right foot. Before he could fall down, he instantly felt a weird impact.
Advertisement base. The net of golden light touched his body in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the light expanded rapidly, entangled his limbs and torso, and completely trapped his whole body. For a moment, directly blocked, Hidan's pupils suddenly shrank, trying to escape, but found that it was too late. Above the light, a strong sense of oppression completely suppressed his body. Even if he wants to break free, it is of no use, at this time. Ching Yu didn't even look at it, so he pushed gently. Hidan's body seemed to be pulled by the light, and flew out directly backwards. Then he got out of the range of the spell circle under his feet. Moreover, the body directly slammed into the big tree behind him, closely fitting with the trunk. Boom! A dull impact sounded, and a few leaves floated down. In just a few seconds, he directly was sealed in the tree by the light cable. Was locked? Aware of this, Hidan was immediately stunned, and his brain was filled with 10,000 question marks. What's going on? Not an attack. But, the sealing technique, and many more? No, it's not right. Why is there such a sealing technique that releases so quickly and does not require seal formation at all? Looking at Ching Yu ahead, Fei 907's mind was stunned by time. To know, he possessed the evil god's curse, although he possessed the power of immortality in the true sense. However, he is only afraid of one power, that is the sealing technique. Because the seal will not cause him harm, but it has permanently stopped all his actions. Therefore, even if his curse is anti-injury, in this case, it can't play any role, and can only be passively trapped. Hidan's face suddenly became silly, only then did he realize what Ching Yu said just now. And at the moment, Deidara and Ju too on this side also froze for a while. This TM is over. The enemy who just made us extremely tricky, was it solved like this? It just snapped a finger lightly and unleashed such a powerful seal technique? The Jew on the tree was naturally a little dazed. On the other hand, Deidara in the ground mountain couldn't help taking another breath, shocked. Hiss. Difficult. Can it be said, this is what Ju said before, is the power of Senior Ching Yu's Evil King True Eye. Chapter 178. This TM is outrageous, okay? For subscription, ===. Advertisement. The wind rolled up the leaves. In the forest, Deidara's eyes glowed, and her heart was shocked. Previously, in the process of returning to Rain Shinobi from the country of soil. Because of Ching Yu's temporary departure, Deidara could only go back to Rain Shinobi village under the leadership of Ju. And in between, in order to better understand Ching Yu's situation, Deidara asked Ju a lot about Ching Yu's ability. Although it never seems to be reluctant to say clearly. But, under Deidara's stalker, he still said something related and unrelated. And from these words, Deidara only heard one useful news. That is, Ching Yu's golden pupil, according to rumors. This is an extremely rare blood succession bound pupil technique. Its name is True Eye of the Evil King. I don't know the source. I don't know the information. I only know that it possesses countless mysterious and powerful abilities, and it may even exceed 100. The blue fire style, the golden lightning style, the strangely stagnant spells, the powerful gravity that oppresses the soul, and so on. There are countless, according to people familiar with the matter. Every time when Ching Yu uses his evil king true eye pupil technique.
His eyes, it will be like burning, emitting a bright golden light.
Honestly, when I first heard this, Deidara still doesn't quite believe this. I just think this sounds like some kind of unreliable urban legend. Because, he has also heard some outrageous legends in the past. It's like something like, the Black Knight without a head, or, the wine that will live forever after drinking. Such things are totally unreliable. After all, how could someone's pupil technique possess so many different kinds of power? However, his thoughts, at that moment, he was severely slapped in the face. Because, when Ching Yu snapped his fingers, Deidara did see it very clearly and clearly.
His pupils are burning. That's right, you can't go wrong.
That must be the mysterious pupil technique that I mentioned in the mouth. True eyes of the evil king. Aware of this, a special brilliance suddenly appeared in Deidara's eyes.
Excited. This moment, his admiration for Ching Yu has taken another step.
It turned out that in addition to the explosion, there is such an invulnerable and powerful pupil technique in this world. Advertisement just like an explosion, gorgeous to the extreme and full of fleeting power. This is the art of different tunes but equal work. The forest gradually returned to tranquility. The sound of birds and insects started to sound again at some unknown time. And half a day later, Hidan, who was bound by the golden light on the tree, gritted his teeth and spoke. Hello. You guy, what is this? Ability. Why is there such a sealing technique that can be released directly without the need for seal formation and any preparation actions? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Is this too outrageous? Hidan gritted his teeth and tried to free himself while shouting loudly. However, no matter how hard he tried, the light remained motionless as if welded to him. And the big tree behind him, also because of being covered by the optical net, seemed to become extra hard.
And this sighed, after hearing Hidan's cursing voice.
Ching Yu's complexion was still carefree, just staring at Hidan lightly and casually responded. Why do you ask so much? You don't plan to join Akatsuki anyway, do you? Then we have nothing to talk about. You stay here forever for the rest of your life. Goodbye. Ching Yu's eyes were calm, and he spoke indifferently. And after speaking, he didn't wait for Hidan to react at all, so he turned around and stepped forward while facing the Deidara two people in front of him. Let's go back to Rain Shinobi Village. As soon as these words came out, the three of them were all stupid. Deidara and Ju all have question marks on their faces. And many more. What the hell? Why are you leaving now? You seem to be making a mistake, right? The reason why we are here is not to recruit this guy into Akatsuki. Wouldn't it be a waste of energy if I didn't recruit now? However, just when the two of them were dumbfounded. Behind Ching Yu, Hidan, who was trapped, of course was even more confused. Looking at Ching Yu's back, his expression directly froze on his face. Is this going straight away? And many more. Didn't you come to recruit me? Anyhow, you should ask my opinion before deciding whether or not to leave, right? I haven't refused yet, hey, and he just said that he would stay here forever. What is going on? This guy, don't you really plan to let me go? Isn't he really going to lock me here forever? Thinking of this, advertisement Hidan had a chill in his back for a while, swaying like rain. No, do not want, never do this. What if you are trapped here forever? Then how can you sacrifice to Lord Cthulhu? Wait a minute. Finally, Hidan still gritted his teeth and shouted. Echoes rippling through the forest. At this moment, his face was very ugly. While sweating coldly, he reluctantly squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying, and said with difficulty. Brother, don't leave in a hurry. Join Akatsuki or something, and it's not impossible to consider, now, right? Hidan said anxiously. As an iron-headed baby with immortality and fearlessness, this time, he was indeed a little panicked. At this time, after the voice fell, Ching Yu in front suddenly stopped. Subsequently, he slowly turned his head, looked at Hidan blankly, and said indifferently. What's the meaning? Now, have you decided to accept Akatsuki's solicitation? The voice fell, a drop of cold sweat was instantly drawn from Hidan's forehead, and he gritted his teeth with an ugly expression. Only, as long as I don't trap me here, everything is easy to say. Join Akatsuki, no problem. As soon as the voice fell, Deidara and Ju were taken aback. Ching Yu was still expressionless, just glanced at him lightly, and said. It seems to be reluctant to listen to you, never mind. Anyway, Akatsuki doesn't lack you, you should just stay here and become a corpse. Talking, Ching Yu turned around once again and was about to leave. Seeing this picture, Hidan was shocked for a while, knowing that he seemed to be wrong. His face suddenly paled, and almost subconsciously he shouted anxiously. Wait, don't go, hello, I am willing to join Akatsuki. Hidan closed his eyes and opened his mouth, shouting loudly, almost in a loud voice. Ma, please let me join Akatsuki brother, please ah. The sound was so loud that it almost flew the entire flock of Yamanaka's birds. In the dense forest, it reverberates repeatedly, and at the moment. Seeing this picture, Deidara and Ju Sudden on the side were all stupid. Until this moment, they suddenly understood Ching Yu's intention. This is too awesome, right? Unexpectedly, he was born to force this guy to directly beg to join Akatsuki? Hiss. It's so ridiculous. Chapter 180 isn't it just bullying honest people? For subscription, == Advertisement Hogyoku, sealing props from the world of Shinigami. Both Urahara Kazuki and Aizen Sosuke have spent a lot of energy on research and development. Moreover, the two of them almost completed their Hogyoku in similar time. However, even the Hogyoku created by a person with the highest IQ like Urahara Kazuki is not fully mature. Only after merging with Aizen's Hogyoku did it present a perfect posture. Urahara Kazuki once believed that Hogyokus is a prop that can break the boundary between Shinigami and the virtual. As a result, Shinigami can master the power of the imaginary and make it masquerade, or let the imaginary master the power of Shinigami, that is, Urankurization. However, this is not the case. The reason why Hogyoku has this power is entirely because Urahara Kazuki has such hope in his heart. The true ability of Hogyoku, it is the power that can realize all the inner hopes of the surroundings and realize the dream. Aizen hopes that he can evolve to become a being that transcends everything. So, after integrating Hogyoku, he began to step into the ultimate evolutionary process. In other words, Hogyoku has the ability to guide reality toward desire. This power of interfering with reality, no matter which world you are in, can be regarded as the ultimate bug properly.
It can be called, violated the existence of the realm of gods.
Ching Yu couldn't help swallowing, he didn't expect it at all. After the system mall was upgraded to full level this time.
Hogyoku, unexpectedly will be refreshed as the ultimate hidden product.
But, anyway, what's the matter with this price? 1 million? 1 million points? Is it poisonous? Ching Yu suddenly looked at his balance in the upper left corner. But seeing the above, it shows a very simple number of 13W. This, he has saved a little bit over the past few years. After seeing it clearly, Ching Yu's mouth suddenly couldn't help but twitch slightly. If he calculates based on an average of 200 points for a side task, he will have to do 50 branches in a row to get 10,000 points. It takes more than 4,000 branches to save up the points to buy Hogyoku.
Is this so? Isn't it just bullying honest people?
The ninja fights workers, so it was me?
After freezing for a long time, Ching Yu looked strange again, and began to look at other hidden goods.
As predicted, strange shopping mall props have been added again.
This time, it also added magical items such as Superman Medicine, developed by Kuretsuchi Mayuri, and Turning God Body, developed by Urahara Kazuki.
But for Ching Yu now, they're all useless things. Take a look, after half a day, Ching Yu's gaze returned to Hogyoku. Really, I still want to buy this. Ching Yu felt helpless in his heart. Up to now, advertisement he is basically in the strongest position in the ninja world. It can be said, there are basically only 6 levels of people who can fight him now. Even if the Super Shadow level came, almost only qualified for being seconds. Therefore, there is no point in buying other props. After all, as long as Bankai is opened, everything is easy and pleasant to play. Instead, it is Hogyoku. Read more at mtlarchive.com. This prop has infinite possibilities. Although it is expensive, it can still be regarded as the most cost-effective item in the entire mall. Maybe, other functions can be developed in the future. 2 flowers bloom, 1 on each table. At this time, it was at the same moment when Ching Yu was studying the system mall. Far in the east of the country of rain, the land of fire, outside Konaha. In a forest, 2 figures dressed in red clouds and black robes are rushing through them quickly. It is Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi. The clothes of the two were damaged to varying degrees, as if they had just experienced some kind of battle. And at the moment, Kisame stared at the Itachi on the side with a weird expression, and said in doubt. What happened? Itachi-san, you obviously have more energy, why should we retreat? Of course Kisame was puzzled. After all, they finally found the location of Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. In addition, he also discovered the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya, who was training him. Result, the two sides have just fought for a few rounds. Itachi kid, he took him directly and withdrew, now. In the process of running away, this is too unreasonable. Kisame frowned, staring at Itachi. If he can't get a reasonable explanation, he certainly won't be convinced. At this time, Itachi was still indifferent, but he lowered his eyes slightly and said. It's very simple, because, I can't beat him. As soon as he said this, Kisami's face froze for a while. What? Can't beat it? Uchiha Itachi, a genius who has always been proud and arrogant, would even say that he can't beat others? This. Kisami's expression froze suddenly. Obviously, the last person this guy said he couldn't beat was the burning pupil master Ching Yu in Akatsuki. This Sannin Jiraiya, although indeed very strong. However, from the previous fights, it seems that Ching Yu hasn't reached the level of horror. Is this scaring away? Advertisement. A strange look suddenly appeared in Kisami's gaze. That Ching Yu is terrible, of course he knew it. Ask for flowers. After all, he had heard too much from Itachi. Even the Uchiha Madara was jealous of him by 3 points. It is normal for Itachi to admit that he can't beat him. But, Jiraiya, Kisame felt suspicious this time. After thinking for a moment, he spoke again. No. Itachi-san, as long as you use your Mangekyo Sharingan like the last time you dealt with the mercenary group, you should still be able to beat Jiraiya. Kisame said tentatively, however, after hearing this. The actor Itachi's expression didn't move and he said faintly. It's useless. Didn't you see it just now? My Amaterasu was released twice in a row, but it was sealed by him with a mysterious scroll, to no avail. Even if you continue to use Mangekyo Sharingan, it will only increase consumption. My stamina is a little bit too supportable now. 0. Chakra isn't much. Look at Jiraiya. His chakra volume and physical strength are all too big to predict. Plus his powerful summoning technique and mysterious all kinds of forbearance. If we really want to fight, I'm afraid it will be endless. Maybe we will be besieged by the entire Konaha shinobi village. This is not our purpose, right? We are here to capture Jinchuriki, not to declare war on Konaha. Itachi's face was calm, and he spoke unhurriedly. Very logical. Very rational. Similarly, it is very persuasive. And after listening to Itachi's words, Kisame, the honest man on the side, was stunned. Then Itachi raised his eyes and looked forward again, indifferently. Since there is such a strong person around Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, for the time being, it's not suitable for catching, it's easy to get rid of it. Let's return to Rain Shinobi first. After discussing with Pain, we will decide to act. Kisame was astonished for a long time before saying helplessly. Okay. Although he still wants to go back and try to capture Jinchuriki again. But, there is no way now. He couldn't beat Itachi, and he had no choice but to let it go. However, what he doesn't know at this moment is. The Itachi on the side also flashed with thoughts in his heart. Don't know this time, has my information been delivered yet?
Chapter 181 The Slippery Fish of the Uchiha Clan. For subscription ===.
Advertisement under dim sunlight. The two quickly walked through the forest, completely away from Konaha.
However, while leaping forward, Itachi thought carefully in his heart.
In fact, of course he did not retreat because he was afraid of Jiraiya. With his current Mangekyo Sharingan configuration of Amaterasu, plus, you do. He is confident, even if he can't defeat Jiraiya quickly, as long as he cooperates with Kisami's ability, he can also be temporarily suppressed. Even if Uzumaki Naruto was taken away, it was only a matter of time.
After all, he can also defeat Jiraiya in the spiritual world through the moon reading method.
But, none of these methods was considered by Itachi. Because the purpose of his coming this time was to interrupt Akatsuki's plan to capture the tail beast. By the way, think of a way to reveal Akatsuki's information to Konaha. And now, his goal has basically been achieved. Naturally, there is no need to stay there and fight with Jiraiya anymore. Just after meeting Jiraiya, just a few sentences in dialogue, Itachi very cleverly revealed to Jiraiya the message. Akatsuki wants to capture the tailed beast Jinchuriki.
It also hinted to him very vaguely that Akatsuki's base was in Rain Shinobi village.
If it weren't for Kisame by his side, he would even want to leap more. It's a pity, it can't be said, Itachi is not a fool either. Of course he saw the weirdness of Kisame. As soon as this guy entered Akatsuki, he was directly arranged by his side. It was impossible for him to notice that Kisame was here to monitor him.
Therefore, he has been careful. Even the information disclosure this time was extremely careful, for fear of being spotted.
Fortunately now, everything seems to be handled properly. Next, we have to find a way to quickly determine whether Sasuke is okay. Itachi's eyes gleamed slightly, this time Konaha. His biggest accident was Sasuke. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to motivate Sas again. But now, don't talk about motivation, even the others are gone. Mustela. While Itachi was thinking, Kisami's voice suddenly appeared, interrupting his thoughts. Itachi looked over with an indifferent expression. What happened? The voice fell, but seeing Kisame grinning slightly, staring at Itachi, and chuckles. There seems to be something. Itachi-san doesn't seem to confess to me yet, right? When the voice fell, Itachi was shocked in his heart. What? Could it be that? Did this guy find anything? There was a slight chill behind Itachi, but he still raised his eyes pretendingly and calmly, saying indifferently. What do you mean? Words fall. Kisame looked lightly and smiled. Before, when I was in that ramen restaurant, I heard a strange name. Advertisement. It seems to be called Uchiha Sasuke, right? Can you tell me something? As soon as these words came out, Itachi's breathing suddenly stagnated. After a while, he frowned suddenly and said indifferently. This has nothing to do with our mission this time. Hearing this, Kisame didn't seem to notice his tone, and still grinned in a self-conscious tone. Just pure curiosity. After all, Itachi-san, read more at mtlarchive.com. I remember in the legend, you killed the entire Uchiha clan. Then, Uchiha Sasuke that popped up this time, is it just a fake? Or, is he one of those who slipped through the net? When the voice fell, Itachi's heart sank suddenly. He didn't expect, Kisame even remembered this incident, and even deliberately took it out to dig into the roots. After a pause, Itachi lowered his eyes and said indifferently. The fish that slipped through the net. I also found out that there are still people alive. Hearing Itachi's short answer, Kisami's heart moved slightly. However, after only a moment, he turned his head back, looked into the distance, and said quietly. So, is that so? Understood. Kisame grinned a little at the corner of his mouth. Did not continue to speak. 2 days later. Rain Shinobi Village, in the Akatsuki organization base. All the staff gathered. A very surprised voice appeared instantly. Clam? What are you talking about? Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's capture mission failed? The person who made this sound, it is Deidara, who has always been very happy. At this moment, he was holding his chest with both hands, raising his eyebrows and looking at the Itachi in front of him, saying very uncomfortably. Hey. What's the matter? Isn't it you who took the initiative to say that you want to participate in this Nine Tails capture mission? I remember, you seem to have cited a lot of reasons at the time. How come to now? On the contrary, the mission completely failed, Deidara said loudly. And hearing this, Uchiha Itachi lowered his eyes slightly and did not respond. He had expected this a long time ago, and he didn't intend to have any rebuttal or confrontation. At this time, Kisame on the side looked at Deidara and said, "Oh, pay attention to your attitude, Deidara. Itachi-san is also your senior, isn't it impolite for you to be like this?"
Whispering sound. Deidara curled her lips and said to herself.
I only know that this senior said a big talk but didn't honor it.
Unlike ours, the task is easily completed. Deidara said.
Advertisement. And on the opposite side, Juzi suddenly slandered speechlessly. Easy to complete. You are so easy. If it wasn't for the Ching Yu who came to the rescue, you could not have been killed by Hidan, right? The venue was suddenly silent. Even the heavenly Dao Pain and Konan on the side. After listening to Itachi and Kisame's report just now, they fell silent in unison. Immediately, after a while, Pain spoke indifferently. So, because Jiraiya personally protects Nine Tails Jinchuriki, so, you just chose to retreat temporarily, didn't you? Yes. This time, it was not Itachi, but Kisame. He looked calm and methodically. After we met briefly, Itachi-san immediately judged the disadvantages of this battle, and it is very likely that the grass will startle the snake and attract Konaha's attention. In order not to interfere with other tail beast capture plans in the future. That's the only choice, Kisame said calmly. His remarks weren't a cover for Itachi, just because he really agreed with this point of view. After hearing this, Kakuzu on the other side suddenly narrowed his eyes and said,
"Is that guy named Jiraiya really so good? Although I have seen the so-called Konaha Sanin on the reward order before, I shouldn't be able to suppress the two of you at the same time, right?"
Kakuzu said questioningly. He certainly wouldn't underestimate those who can join Akatsuki. We can even say, except for the unique Hidan, almost everyone here has the strength to serve as the shadow of a village. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame are no exception, and now. Two shadow-class powerhouses were actually suppressed by Konaha's Jiraiya? Kakuzu is of course full of doubts about this, however. What he didn't know was, after listening to these words, Pain and Konan's expressions relaxed slightly. A moment later, Pain suddenly raised his eyes and looked over and said indifferently. This time, Itachi's choice. Understandable. I know that Jiraiya, he is indeed very strong in all aspects.
It was wise that you didn't choose to start a war with him rashly at the time, so you wouldn't make matters 3.7. Quote. As soon as Pain's words came out, Kakuzu and Deidara were taken aback for a moment.
Because, he is equivalent to directly concluding the results of this mission. That is, it's not a shame to retreat from Jiraiya's hands. Is this so? Deidara's face turned weird, and she was about to continue speaking. And at this time, Pain raised his eyes and swept over, his eyes condensed, indifferent and authentic. In that case. This time the tail beast capture plan, let's put it aside for a while. Let me think about it, and then decide what to do next. The meeting is over.